What if Stannis had won the Battle of Blackwater Bay and taken King's Landing from Joffrey? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. The wildfire burns green across Blackwater Bay. Stannis Baratheon stands on the deck of his flagship, watching the flames consume ships from both fleets. The wind has shifted. What should have destroyed his invasion now spreads toward the city's defenders. Melisandre stands beside him, her red eyes reflecting the emerald fire. "R'hllor has spoken," she whispers. The false king's own weapon turns against him. Stannis draws his sword. The blade gleams in the wildfire's light. His men surge forward through the smoke and chaos. The chains, stretched across the bay, snap under the weight of burning wreckage. His surviving ships crash into the docks. Steel rings as his soldiers storm the muddy shores. King Joffrey watches from the battlements of the Red Keep. His face is pale. The wildfire that should have saved them now lights the way for Stannis' assault. "Your Grace," Sandor Clegane growls beside him. "We need to fall back." The hound's scarred face is tight with fear. Not of Stannis, of the green flames dancing across the water. Joffrey turns and runs. His golden crown slips on his head as he flees down the stone steps. Behind him, the sounds of battle grow closer. Steel on steel, men screaming. The gates of King's Landing shudder under the impact of a battering ram. In the throne room, Cersei Lannister paces before the Iron Throne. Her youngest children, Tommen and Myrcella, huddle beside her. "Where is your father?" she demands of Tyrion. The dwarf stands at her side, his face bloodied from the battle on the walls. A gash runs across his forehead where a sellsword's blade found its mark. "Fighting for his life," Tyrion replies. His voice is grim. "As should we all." He grips his axe tighter. The sound of splintering wood echoes through the keep. The gates have fallen. Stannis' men pour through the Red Keep like a dark tide. Their armor bears the flaming heart of R'hllor. Stags crown their helms. They move with purpose through the corridors. Some have fought at Storm's End. Others sailed from Dragonstone. All serve the rightful king. Joffrey reaches the throne room just as Stannis' vanguard arrives. The boy king stumbles to a halt before the Iron Throne. His breath comes in short gasps. Behind him, steel-clad warriors fill the doorway. Their captain steps forward. "Surrender, usurper," he commands. "King Stannis offers you trial by combat or immediate execution." "I am the king!" Joffrey shrieks. His voice cracks. "I am Joffrey of houses Baratheon and Lannister, first of his name, king of the Andals and the—" "You are no king of mine," Stannis Baratheon says as he enters the throne room. His armor bears the scars of battle. Soot stains his surcoat. The flaming heart burns bright on his chest. Behind him walks Sir Davos Seaworth, dripping wet and limping. The Onion Knight survived the wildfire. Barely. Stannis surveys the throne room. His eyes are cold as winter steel. "Seize them all," he commands. His men move quickly. Cersei tries to shield her children, but the soldiers are gentle but firm. Tyrion offers no resistance. The dwarf knows when a battle is truly lost. Joffrey draws his sword. The blade shakes in his grip. "I'll kill you all," he screams. "I'll have your heads. Stannis backhands him across the face. The boy falls hard. His sword clatters on the stone floor. Blood trickles from his split lip. "You will be silent," Stannis says, "or I will cut out your tongue before I take your head." The throne room falls quiet. Only the distant sounds of battle break the silence. Stannis walks slowly toward the Iron Throne. Each step echoes in the vast chamber. The twisted metal swords gleam in the torchlight. He reaches the foot of the throne. Stops, stares up at the seat his brother Robert once held. "I am the rightful king," Stannis declares. His voice carries to every corner of the room. By right of birth, by right of law, by right of conquest. He climbs the iron steps, each one carved from a blade that bent the knee to Aegon the Conqueror. When he reaches the top, he turns, sits. The Iron Throne accepts him. For the first time in his life, Stannis Baratheon is king. Bring the usurper forward, he commands. His men drag Joffrey before the throne. The boy's golden hair is matted with blood. His purple eyes are wide with fear. Joffrey of House Lannister, Stannis says, you stand accused of usurpation, of murder, of high treason against the rightful king of Westeros. My father was Robert Baratheon, Joffrey sobs. I am his heir. Your father was Jaime Lannister, Stannis replies. His voice is flat, matter of fact. You are bastard born of incest. You have no claim to any throne. He looks to his men. The sentence is death. Sir Elin Payne steps forward. The king's justice draws his great sword. Ice, the Stark family blade taken when Ned lost his head. Wait, Stannis says. Not that sword. He draws his own blade. The steel seems to shimmer with inner fire. Justice should be served by rightful steel. Joffrey tries to run. The guards hold him fast. Please, he whimpers. I'll give you anything. Gold, ships. I'll marry whoever you want. Please. Stannis stands, descends from the throne. You showed no mercy to Robert's bastards, he says. Children who threatened no one. Babies torn from their mother's arms. He raises his sword. You will receive the justice you gave them. The blade falls. Joffrey's head rolls across the stone floor. His blood pools in the cracks between the flagstones. The throne room is silent, except for Cersei's strangled sob. The usurper is dead, Stannis announces. Long live the king. His men kneel. Long live King Stannis, they chant. First of his name, King of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men. Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, Protector of the realm. Stannis looks at the remaining prisoners. Cersei clutches her children. Her green eyes burn with hatred. Tyrion watches calmly. The dwarf's mind is already working, calculating, planning. Take the woman to the black cells, Stannis commands. The children will be kept under guard, but treated with courtesy. They are not responsible for their mother's sins. He looks at Tyrion. You fought well on the walls, Lord Tyrion. You are wounded, but alive. Do you yield? I yield, Your Grace, Tyrion says. His voice is steady, despite his injuries. I am at your mercy. You will be taken to the Tower of the Hand, Stannis decides. Your wounds will be tended. We will speak again when you have recovered. He turns to address the room. Let it be known throughout the Seven Kingdoms. Joffrey Baratheon is dead. The usurper's reign is ended. I am Stannis of House Baratheon, first of his name, rightful king of Westeros. He sits again on the Iron Throne. The twisted metal seems to fit him better than it ever did his brother. Bring me quill and parchment, he orders. I will send ravens to every lord in the realm. The laws of the usurper are null and void. Justice will return to these lands. Melisandre enters the throne room. Her red robes flow around her like liquid fire. The flames told true, Your Grace, she says. R'hllor has granted you victory. The night is dark and full of terrors, but you are the light that will drive them back. Stannis nods grimly. Outside, the last sounds of battle fade. King's Landing is his, but he knows this is only the beginning. Other claimants still draw breath. Other armies still march. The realm bleeds from 5 years of war. But for now, the Iron Throne has its rightful king, and Stannis Baratheon has work to do. Dawn breaks over King's Landing. The smoke from yesterday's battle still rises from Blackwater Bay. Bodies float among the wreckage. Green flames flicker on the water where wildfire still burns. King Stannis Baratheon stands on the battlements of the Red Keep. His first night as king has passed without sleep. Sir Davos Seaworth limps through the gates of the Red Keep. His clothes are torn and salt-stained. Burns mark his hands where he fought the wildfire. The guards recognize the Onion Knight and let him pass. He climbs the steps slowly. Each movement brings pain from wounds earned in the bay. "Your Grace," Davos calls as he reaches the battlements. His voice is hoarse from smoke and seawater. Stannis turns. For a moment, relief flickers across the king's stern face. "I thought you were dead, Davos." "So did I," the Onion Knight replies. He kneels despite his injuries. "I was thrown from my ship when the wildfire exploded, washed up near Fishmonger's Square just before dawn." He looks up at his king. "Half my sons are gone, Your Grace. Matos among them." Stannis's jaw tightens. He knows the cost of victory. "They died for the rightful king," he says quietly. "Their names will be remembered." He helps Davos to his feet. "Rest now. We have much work ahead." In the throne room, prisoners kneel in chains before the Iron Throne. Lords who served Joffrey, gold cloaks who took Lannister coin, courtiers who whispered poison in a boy king's ear. Stannis surveys them with cold eyes. Justice will be swift. "Lord Slynt," Stannis says. The former commander of the City Watch trembles before the throne. "You murdered Robert's bastards, children who had never wronged you. What is your defense?" "I was following orders," Slynt stammers. "The Queen commanded it. I had no choice." "There is always a choice," Stannis replies. His voice echoes in the vast chamber. "You chose gold over honor. You chose murder over mercy." He looks to Sir Ilyn Payne. "Take his head," Lord Slynt screams as the guards drag him away. The remaining prisoners watch in terror. Some weep openly. Others stare at the floor. They know their fate hangs on a king's word. Sir Meryn Trant kneels next in line. The Kingsguard Knight's white cloak is stained with blood and soot. "You swore an oath to protect the innocent," Stannis says. "Instead, you beat women and children. You served a bastard born of incest." The king's fingers drum on the arm of the throne. Death. One by one, judgment falls. Some lords lose their heads. Others forfeit their lands and titles. A few who showed mercy during Joffrey's reign are spared but stripped of office. The throne room runs red with blood before Stannis is finished. Meanwhile, across the city, Melisandre walks through the streets with a company of guards. Her red robes flow behind her like living flame. The common folk watch from doorways and windows. Some cross themselves. Others whisper prayers to the Seven. She reaches the great sept of Baelor. The massive structure rises above the city like a crown of carved stone. 7 towers reach toward the sky. For centuries, it has been the heart of the faith in King's Landing. Today, it will burn. "Tear down the statues," Melisandre commands. Her guards move quickly. Hammers and picks ring against marble and stone. The mother falls first. Her carved face shatters on the steps. The father follows. Then the warrior, the smith, the maiden, the crone. Finally, the stranger. "R'hllor is the one true god," Melisandre declares to the gathering crowd. Her voice carries clearly in the morning air. "The night is dark and full of terrors. Only the Lord of Light can drive them back." She raises a torch. "Let the false idols burn." Fire catches on oil-soaked wood. Flames spread quickly through the sept. The carved ceiling blackens and cracks. Stained glass windows explode from the heat. Smoke rises high above King's Landing. a message to every corner of the Seven Kingdoms. The old gods are dead. A new faith rules from the Iron Throne. In the Red Keep's solar, Tyrion Lannister sits at a wooden table. His head wound has been cleaned and bandaged. A maester tends to his other injuries. Despite his imprisonment, he is treated with courtesy. Stannis remembers the dwarf's courage on the walls. "How fares our new king?" Tyrion asks the maester. His golden eyes are alert despite his pain. "I assume he's been busy dispensing justice?" "7 men lost their heads this morning," the maester whispers. "Lord Slint among them. The king shows no mercy to those who served the usurper." Tyrion nods slowly. He expected as much. Stannis Baratheon is nothing if not predictable. Justice swift and harsh. No room for compromise or politics. "And my sister?" "Still in the black cells. The children are kept in the maiden vault. Well fed and protected, but under guard." The maester finishes wrapping a cut on Tyrion's arm. "You're fortunate, my lord. The king could have taken your head." "Perhaps," Tyrion muses. "Or perhaps he has use for me." The dwarf's mind works despite his exhaustion. Stannis is a capable military commander, but ruling requires different skills. Skills Tyrion possesses in abundance. Across the city, in a brothel near the Street of Silk, Varys packs his few belongings. The spider moves quietly through the shadows. His network of little birds brings word of the arrests and executions. King Stannis shows no tolerance for those who played the game too well. A soft knock at the door. One of his spies enters, a young girl with hollow cheeks and quick eyes. "The harbour is watched, my lord," she whispers. "Ships are searched. The king's men seek you." Varys nods calmly. He expected this as well. "Then we go by land. Have horses ready at the mud gate. Gold for the guards." He looks once more around the room. "A shame. I rather liked this city." Lord Petter Baelish takes a different approach. Littlefinger strides boldly through the Red Keep's corridors. His doublet is silk and silver. A mocking smile plays on his lips. If he feels fear, it doesn't show. He enters the throne room as Stannis finishes his morning judgments. Blood pools on the stone floor. Guards drag away the last body. "Your Grace," Littlefinger says with a low bow, "I come to offer my services to the rightful king." Stannis studies him with cold eyes. "You served my enemies well, Lord Baelish. You whispered poison in Joffrey's ear. You helped Cersei Lannister steal the throne." "I served the realm, your grace," Littlefinger replies smoothly. "I brought stability to the capital. I managed the crown's finances. I can do the same for you." "At what price?" Stannis asks. "Your loyalty comes dear, I think." Littlefinger spreads his hands. "I ask only to continue serving. The realm needs administrators, your grace. Men who understand how the capital truly works." Stannis is quiet for a long moment. Then he speaks a single word. "Guards." Steel rings as soldiers move to seize Littlefinger. His smile finally fades. "Your grace, surely we can—" "Take him to the black cells," Stannis commands. "I'll not have Lannister dogs poisoning my court with their lies." As Littlefinger is dragged away, Stannis turns to Maester Balabar. "Bring me parchment and ravens. I will send word to every lord in the 7 kingdoms. They will kneel or face the fate of all traitors." The Maester hurries to comply. Within the hour, ravens fill the sky above King's Landing. Black wings carry the new king's words to every corner of Westeros. The message is simple and direct. "I am Stannis of House Baratheon, first of his name, King of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, Lord of the 7 kingdoms, and Protector of the realm. I have taken King's Landing by right of conquest. The usurper, Joffrey, is dead. His laws are void. His supporters are traitors. Bend the knee, or face my justice. The choice is yours." In the great hall, common folk gather for the king's first public address. Merchants and craftsmen, whores and dock workers, nobles who survived the purge. They fill the vast space, their voices a low murmur of uncertainty. Stannis enters without fanfare. No crown adorns his head. No golden cloak flows behind him. He wears simple black leather and steel. The flaming heart of Rella burns bright on his chest. Behind him walks Melisandre, her red robes a splash of colour in the grey hall. "I am your king," Stannis declares. His voice carries to every corner of the hall. "I will not lie to you. I will not coddle you. I will not promise easy answers to hard problems." He pauses, studying the faces before him. "But I will give you justice. True justice. No man will be above the law. No lord will escape judgment if he breaks faith with the realm." A baker near the front raises his hand. Stannis nods for him to speak. "What of our debts, your grace? The crown owes money throughout the city." "Honest debts will be honoured," Stannis replies. "But I'll not pay for Joffrey's excesses. His golden tournaments and lavish feasts bankrupted the realm. That ends now," a woman calls out from the crowd. "What of our faith, your grace? The sept of Baelor burns. Where shall we pray?" Stannis looks to Melisandre. The Red Priestess steps forward. "The Lord of Light welcomes all who would serve him," she says. "R'hllor is the god of kings and common folk alike. He asks only that you reject the darkness and embrace the flame." Murmurs run through the crowd. Some voices sound hopeful, others fearful. Change has come to King's Landing like a wildfire. Some will burn, others will rise from the ashes. As the gathering disperses, Stannis returns to the Iron Throne. The twisted metal seems to accept him more each day. But he knows the real battle lies ahead. Ravens carry word of his victory throughout the realm. Soon, answers will come. Some lords will kneel, others will rebel. The Game of Thrones continues. But now it has a new player. A king who cares nothing for politics or compromise. Only for duty. Only for justice. Stannis Baratheon has won his crown. Now he must keep it. Ravens return to King's Landing with answers from across the Seven Kingdoms. Some carry acceptance, others defiance. King Stannis sits the Iron Throne as Maester Balabar reads the responses aloud. Each letter shapes the political map of Westeros. Each choice brings the realm closer to peace or war. The first raven bears the golden lion of House Lannister. Tywin's response is brief and cold. "I do not recognize the authority of a usurper who murdered children in their beds." Stannis crushes the parchment in his fist. The old lion retreats to Casterly Rock with 30,000 men. War is coming to the Westerlands. "Summon my war council," Stannis commands. Within the hour, his advisors gather in the small council chamber. Ser Davos limps to his seat at the king's right hand. Melisandre stands behind the throne, her red eyes reflecting the flames of braziers. Lord Alistair Florent speaks for the houses of the Reach, who bent the knee. "Tywin Lannister bleeds gold, not blood," Lord Alistair says. His voice carries the confidence of a man whose house backed the winning side. "Let him cower in his rock. The realm will see his weakness." "The realm will see him gathering strength," Davos counters. His fingers tap nervously on the table. 30,000 men is no small force, and he has the gold to hire more. Stannis listens in silence. His jaw works as he considers the threat. Tywin Lannister is wounded but not broken. The old lion will not accept defeat quietly. "What word from the north?" the king asks. Maester Balabar unfurls another scroll. "King Robb writes from Riverrun, your grace." The Maester's voice is careful, neutral. "He acknowledges your victory over Joffrey. He offers conditional recognition. "Read it," Stannis commands. "To his grace, Stannis of House Baratheon," the Maester begins. "I congratulate you on your victory over the usurper, Joffrey. Justice has been served for the murder of my father. However, the North has declared independence. I am king in the North by right of blood and the will of my bannermen. I propose an alliance between our kingdoms. Together we can bring peace to the realm." Silence fills the chamber. Lord Alistair shifts uncomfortably. Melisandre's eyes narrow. Davos watches his king's face carefully. The Onion Knight knows that look. Stannis's patience grows thin. "The boy calls himself a king," Stannis says finally. His voice is flat, dangerous. "There is only one king in Westeros. Me." He looks to Maester Balabar. "Send a reply. Tell the boy he will bend the knee or face the fate of all rebels. The North is not a kingdom. It is part of my realm." Before the Maester can respond, another raven arrives. This one bears the son and spear of House Martell. Prince Doran's message is longer, but no less defiant. "Stannis Baratheon served the man who killed my sister. Robert's justice murdered Elia Martell and her children. Dorn remembers. We do not forget. We do not forgive." "The Dornish have long memories," Davos observes. "Prince Doran's hatred runs deep. Robert never answered for what happened to Elia Martell." "I am not Robert," Stannis replies coldly. "Nor am I responsible for his failures. But I will not beg for Doran Martell's forgiveness." He looks around the table. "Dorne can keep its deserts. When I have dealt with more pressing threats, I will remind them who rules the Seven Kingdoms." The chamber doors open. A guard enters and kneels. "Your Grace, Lord Edmure Tully has arrived. He seeks an audience." Stannis nods. "Bring him before the throne." Lord Edmure Tully enters the throne room with measured steps. The Lord of Riverrun wears travel-stained leathers and a blue cloak marked with mud from the King's Road. His auburn hair is longer than fashion demands. His eyes are wary but determined. Behind him walk two sworn swords and a septon in brown robes. "Your Grace," Edmure says as he approaches the Iron Throne. He stops at the proper distance and bows deeply. "I come to speak for the Riverlands." "Speak," Stannis commands from his seat of twisted metal. The throne seems to dwarf other men, but Stannis fills it completely. His presence dominates the vast chamber. "The Riverlands have suffered greatly in this war," Edmure begins. His voice carries clearly in the echoing space. "My people have been burned out of their homes, their crops destroyed, their children killed by raiders and sellswords. We seek peace, Your Grace, an end to the bloodshed." "Peace comes through submission," Stannis replies. "Bend the knee. Acknowledge me as your rightful king. Order will return to your lands." Edmure hesitates. The silence stretches between them. "My nephew calls himself king in the North, Your Grace. I am sworn to House Stark by bonds of blood and marriage. I cannot simply—" "You can and you will," Stannis interrupts. His voice cuts like a blade. "Your nephew is a rebel, a boy who plays at being a king. I am the rightful ruler of all Seven Kingdoms. That includes the North. That includes the Riverlands. The boy defeated Jaime Lannister in the field," Edmure says carefully. "He has won every battle he's fought. His bannermen love him. The North will not simply submit because I command it," Stannis finishes. He leans forward in the throne. "Tell me, Lord Edmure, who killed King Joffrey? Who sits the Iron Throne? Who commands the loyalty of the royal fleet?" Edmure's shoulders sag slightly. "You do, Your Grace? Then perhaps your nephew should consider that before he calls himself a king." Stannis sits back. His eyes never leave the Riverlands' lord. "I offer you the same choice," I offer all rebels. Bend the knee willingly, or I will force you to kneel." The throne room falls quiet, except for the distant sounds of the city beyond. Edmure looks at his sworn swords. They offer no guidance. This choice is his alone. Finally, slowly, he lowers himself to one knee. "I, Edmure of House Tully, Lord of Riverrun, and Lord Paramount of the Trident, do hereby acknowledge Stannis of House Baratheon as my rightful king." His voice carries resignation, but also relief. "I pledge my swords, my gold, and my loyalty to the Iron Throne. Rise, Lord Edmure," Stannis commands. "Your submission is noted. Send ravens to your bannermen. They will acknowledge me as their king, or face the consequences." He pauses. "As for your nephew, you will carry a message from me to Winterfell." Before Edmure can respond, commotion erupts in the throne room. The great doors swing open. A figure in worn traveling clothes strides through the entrance. Grey beard, weather-beaten face, a knight's bearing despite his simple garb. The guards move to intercept him, but something in his manner gives them pause. "I would speak with King Stannis," the man declares. His voice rings with authority, despite his humble appearance. "I am Sir Barristan Selmy. I come to offer my sword." Murmurs ripple through the throne room. Sir Barristan the Bold, the most honored knight in the Seven Kingdoms, dismissed from the Kingsguard by the boy King Joffrey. Many thought him lost to exile. Now he stands before the Iron Throne once more. Stannis studies the old knight carefully. "Sir Barristan, I remember you from my brother's court. You served Robert faithfully for 16 years. "I served the realm, your grace," Sir Barristan replies. "I served the rightful king. Now the rightful king sits before me once again." "Joffrey dismissed you," Stannis observes. "Called you too old to serve. Cast you aside like a broken sword." Anger flickers across the old knight's face. "The usurper was a cruel boy who understood nothing of honor. You are Robert's heir by law. You have proven your worth with sword and crown. If you will have me, I would serve again." Stannis considers for a long moment. The throne room holds its breath. Finally, the king nods. "Kneel, Sir Barristan." The old knight drops to one knee before the Iron Throne. His weathered hands rest on the pommel of his sword. "I, Barristan of House Selmy, do solemnly swear by the Seven, by the light of R'hllor, and by the honor of my fathers, to serve King Stannis Baratheon faithfully until the end of my days." "Rise, Sir Barristan," Stannis commands. "You are hereby appointed to the Kingsguard. Your first duty is to see that justice is done to those who served the usurper." Sir Barristan stands. His blue eyes are hard as winter steel. "It will be my honor, your grace." As the formal audience concludes, ravens continue to arrive throughout the day. Some houses in the Reach bend the knee, others remain silent, still mourning Renly Baratheon. The Stormlands rally to their former lord's call, but slowly. Too many men died at the Blackwater. In the evening, Stannis reviews the responses in his solar. Davos sits across from him, wine untouched on the table between them. The Onion Knight's face is grave. "The realm bleeds from too many wounds, your grace. Men are tired of war." "Men do not choose when duty calls," Stannis replies. His voice is steady but weary. "The realm needs order. It needs justice. I will not compromise with rebels and oathbreakers." "Even your own brother's son?" Davos asks quietly. "Robb Stark is Robert's nephew by marriage. He's family." Stannis' jaw tightens. "Family means nothing if it stands between me and justice. The boy will submit, or he will face the consequences." He sets down the latest Raven scroll. "Send word to Dragonstone. I want every ship readied for sail. If diplomacy fails, steel will serve. Outside the Red Keep, the city settles into an uneasy peace. Stannis' justice is harsh but fair. Corruption withers under his iron rule. The gold cloaks patrol with renewed purpose. Merchants pay honest weights and measures. But change comes with a price. The faith of the Seven struggles to rebuild after Melisandre's purge. Fear walks the streets alongside hope. In the black cells, Cersei Lannister plots in darkness. In the Maiden Vault, her children learn new prayers to a red god. In the Tower of the Hand, Tyrion Lannister reads letters from across the realm and calculates the odds of survival. The Game of Thrones continues, but the rules have changed. Stannis Baratheon plays by different laws, laws written in steel and fire, laws that bend no knee to compromise. Night falls over King's Landing. In the distance, dragons sleep in stone eggs. In the north, wolves gather their strength. In the west, lions count their gold and sharpen their claws. War is coming, but tonight, the rightful king sits his throne and plans for tomorrow's battles. The small council chamber has never seen men like these. King Stannis sits at the head of the table, where his brother Robert once held court. But where Robert surrounded himself with sycophants and yes-men, Stannis chooses differently. Merit over birth, service over flattery, justice over gold. "Rise, Lord Hand," Stannis commands. Sir Davos Seaworth stands slowly, still favouring his wounded leg from the Blackwater. The Onion Knight's weathered face shows surprise. Around the table, the remaining council members watch in silence. A smuggler elevated to the second highest office in the realm. "Your Grace," Davos begins, his voice uncertain. "I am honoured, but surely there are others more." "Qualified," Stannis interrupts. His steel-grey eyes fix on his oldest friend. "You saved my life during the siege of Storm's End. You served me faithfully for 15 years. You speak truth when others offer lies. What qualifications matter more?" Davos bows deeply. "I will serve to the best of my ability, Your Grace." Stannis nods curtly. "See that you do." He looks around the table. "The rest of you are dismissed. Lord Tyrion, remain." The dwarf sits quietly in his chair as the others file out. His head wound has healed, but his golden eyes remain sharp, calculating. He knows his life hangs by a thread, but Tyrion Lannister has survived worse odds. "You defended this city well," Stannis says when they are alone. "Your chain across the bay, your deployment of wildfire, even your command of the walls during the final assault. Impressive for a man with no formal military training." "I had excellent advisers, Your Grace," Tyrion replies carefully, "and motivation. The alternative was death." "The alternative is still death," Stannis states flatly, "unless you prove yourself useful." He leans forward. "I need administrators, men who understand the intricacies of ruling this city. You know every tunnel, every storehouse, every debt collector in King's Landing." Tyrion raises an eyebrow. "You would trust a Lannister with such knowledge?" "I would use a Lannister's knowledge against his own family," Stannis corrects. "Serve me faithfully, and you will be rewarded. Betray me, and your death will make Joffrey's seem merciful." The dwarf considers for a long moment. Stannis offers survival, where others promise only revenge. "What would you have me do, Your Grace?" "Help me root out the corruption that bleeds this realm dry," Stannis replies, starting with the tax collectors. Within the fortnight, the purge begins in earnest. Not the wild slaughter of conquest, but the careful pruning of a diseased tree. Stannis' justice falls methodically on those who grew fat on the crown's coin. In the throne room, a line of men kneel before the Iron Throne. Tax collectors who skimmed gold from the royal treasury, customs officials who took bribes to overlook smugglers, courtiers who sold offices to the highest bidder. Each faces judgment from their new king. "Janos Bracken," Stannis calls. A fat man in silk robes trembles before the throne. "Master of coin for the King's Landing treasury. You embezzled 40,000 golden dragons over 3 years. How do you answer?" "I was following precedent, Your Grace," Bracken stammers. "The position has always been corrupt," Stannis finishes. "That ends now." He looks to Sir Ilyn Payne. "Take his head, seize his holdings. Every gold dragon will be returned to the crown." One by one, judgment falls. Some lose their heads, others face exile or the wall. A few who show genuine remorse are stripped of office but allowed to live. The message spreads quickly through the capital. King Stannis tolerates no theft, no bribery, no corruption of any kind. Meanwhile, Melisandre works to reshape the realm's spiritual landscape. The Red Priestess stands before the remaining Septons in the throne room. Most fled when the Great Sept burned. Those who remain face a choice between conversion and exile. "The 7 are dead gods," she declares. Her voice echoes in the vast chamber. "They offer no salvation, no strength, no justice. Only the Lord of Light can guide this realm through the darkness ahead." Septon Olidor, the most senior cleric remaining in the capital, steps forward. His face is gaunt from fasting and prayer. "The faith has served this realm for 600 years. Countless kings have knelt before the 7. You ask us to abandon everything we hold sacred." "I ask you to embrace truth," Melisandre replies. "R'hllor does not demand the destruction of all who once served false gods, only that they acknowledge the one true faith." Stannis watches from the Iron Throne. His jaw is set, but he allows Melisandre to speak for the crown. Religious matters have never been his strength. Justice, duty, and law he understands. The mysteries of faith he leaves to those who claim divine insight. "Those who convert will be allowed to serve the new faith," Stannis declares. "Those who refuse will be given safe passage to exile. But there will be no faith militant in my kingdom, no armed Septons, no holy warriors answering to any power but the crown." Septon Olidor's shoulders slump in defeat. Several of his brothers nod reluctantly. Others weep openly. The old faith dies hard, but it dies nonetheless. Within days, red priests begin arriving in King's Landing from across the narrow sea. The city's spiritual landscape transforms as surely as its political one. In the Tower of the Hand, Davos struggles with the complexities of governance. Ledgers cover his desk, tax records, trade agreements, debt calculations that would challenge a Meister's learning. The Onion Knight's education came from smuggling runs and storm-tossed nights, not from books and scrolls. "It's hopeless," Davos mutters to Tyrion, who sits across from him. "I can read well enough now, but this—" He gestures helplessly at the papers. "The realm's finances are a maze I cannot navigate." Tyrion leans forward, studying the numbers. His finger traces columns of figures with practiced ease. The crown owes nearly 3 million gold dragons to the Iron Bank of Braavos, another million to various lords and merchants. The royal treasury contains perhaps 50,000 dragons. In other words, we're broke, Davos sighs. "Worse than broke," Tyrion corrects, "but not beyond salvation. King Stannis' reforms will help. End the corruption, standardize the weights and measures, enforce fair taxation. Give me 6 months, and I can balance the books." Davos studies the dwarf's face. "And what do you get in exchange?" "My life," Tyrion replies simply, "and perhaps the satisfaction of seeing my father's gold used wisely for once. Across the city, change comes slowly but surely. In the markets, royal inspectors ensure honest weights and measures. Merchants who once cheated customers find themselves in the dungeons. Money changers who practiced usury face heavy fines or exile. The Gold Cloaks patrol with renewed discipline under Captain Bron's iron command. In the Red Keep's royal apartments, a different kind of transformation takes place. Princess Shireen Baratheon arrives from Dragonstone under heavy guard. The girl is 10 years old, marked by grayscale, but possessed of a quick mind and gentle heart. Her father's stern justice tempers with her presence. "You will be my heir," Stannis tells her in his solar. Father and daughter sit beside a roaring fire. Outside, autumn winds rattle the windows. "The Iron Throne will be yours when I am gone." Shireen's scarred face shows confusion. "But father, tradition says—" "Tradition says many things," Stannis interrupts, "most of them wrong. You are my only child, my blood, my legacy. The realm needs strength, not empty customs." "What if you have sons?" Shireen asks quietly. "What if the Queen—" Stannis' expression hardens. "Your mother will bear no more children. The Maesters have made that clear." He reaches over and takes her small hand in his. "You are my daughter. You are my heir. Let any man challenge that claim." Word of Shireen's designation spreads quickly through the Red Keep. Some whisper approval. A female heir shows strength, they say. Others mutter about tradition and the dangers of change. But none dare speak openly against the king's decision. In the weeks that follow, ravens carry marriage proposals from across the realm. Houses seek alliance through wedlock. Some offer daughters for Stannis himself, hoping to influence the new regime. Others propose matches for Princess Shireen, despite her youth. House Redwine offers their youngest son. Maester Balabar reads from the latest scroll. Lord Paxter writes that the boy is 8 years old, well-educated, and of good character. Stannis listens impassively. Marriage negotiations are necessary but distasteful. Politics disguised as romance. Power wrapped in silk and ceremony. Too young, he decides. Shireen will not marry until she reaches her majority. And when she does, it will be a match that strengthens the realm, not some lord's ambitions. The economic reforms proceed with methodical precision. New standards for weights and measures spread throughout the Crownlands. Tax collectors work under strict oversight. Corruption cases fill the dungeons as Tyrion's investigations uncover decades of theft and fraud. The previous Master of Coin skimmed gold from every transaction, Tyrion reports to the small council. Trade agreements were written to favor certain merchants in exchange for bribes. Even the royal stables charged the crown inflated prices for hay and grain. "How much?" Davos asks grimly. "Nearly 200,000 dragons per year," Tyrion replies. "Multiply that by 15 years, and you begin to understand the scale of the problem." Stannis' jaw tightens. "Name the guilty parties, all of them." The list is long. Lords and merchants, septons and sailors, courtiers and craftsmen. Corruption spread through King's Landing like a plague, infecting every level of government. But Stannis' cure is equally thorough. Justice falls without favor or prejudice. As winter approaches, the changes become visible throughout the capital. Markets bustle with honest trade. The Gold Cloaks maintain order without taking bribes. The royal treasury slowly grows as taxes flow fairly to the crown. The city begins to prosper under firm but just rule. In the throne room one evening, Stannis receives a delegation of merchants from the Reach. They come seeking favorable trade terms, offering gold and goods in exchange for royal favor. The king listens to their proposals with growing impatience. "We ask only for reasonable consideration, Your Grace," their spokesman says. a fat man in fine silks with rings on every finger. The crown's needs are humble offerings, mutual benefit for all concerned. Speak plainly, Stannis interrupts. What do you want? The merchant's smile falters. Reduced tariffs on wine imports, Your Grace. Perhaps consideration for exclusive trading rights in certain goods. In exchange for what? A generous donation to the royal treasury, the merchant replies carefully. 10,000 dragons immediately, with more to follow if arrangements prove satisfactory. Stannis stands from the Iron Throne. His expression is cold as Winterstone. You offer me a bribe. You seek to corrupt my government with gold. He looks to the guards. Escort these men from my city. If they return, they will face the fate of all who traffic in corruption. As the merchants flee, Davos watches his king with growing concern. Stannis' justice is admirable but inflexible. The realm needs some accommodation, some compromise to function smoothly. But how do you counsel flexibility to a man who sees the world in stark terms of right and wrong? The answer will shape the future of Westeros. For now, King Stannis rules with iron discipline. His crown sits secure through strength and law. But the true test lies ahead. When armies march and dragons wake, will rigid justice prove enough to hold the realm together? Only time will tell. But tonight, the rightful king sits his throne and dreams of a just world built on the foundation of his unwavering will. Winter winds carry whispers across Westeros. In the shadows of King Stannis' iron rule, resistance stirs like embers beneath ash. Old loyalties die hard. Ancient grudges burn bright. The king sits secure on his throne, but enemies gather in the darkness beyond his reach. At Casterly Rock, Tywin Lannister stands in his solar overlooking the sunset sea. The old lion's weathered face shows no emotion as he reads the raven from Highgarden. Lady Olenna Tyrell's words are carefully chosen, but their meaning is clear. The Queen of Thorns seeks alliance against the usurper king. Grandmother writes with interesting proposals, Margaery Tyrell says from her seat by the window. The young woman's beauty rivals any flower in her family's gardens, but steel hides beneath the silk. She speaks of mutual interests, common enemies, the need for cooperation. Tywin sets down the letter. His green eyes are cold as winter. Your house lost much when Renly died. Your brother's crown, your family's ambitions. Now you offer alliance with the very man whose brother killed your king. Renly was a boy playing at being a king, Margaery replies smoothly. He had charm but no substance, no strength to hold what he claimed. She stands and moves to the window, gazing out at the rocky coastline. King Stannis has strength, but he lacks flexibility, vision for the future. And what future do you envision, Lady Margaery? The young woman turns back to face him. Her smile is subtle but knowing, one where the realm prospers under wise rule, where old wounds heal and new alliances flourish. She pauses meaningfully. Where your grandson sits the Iron Throne with a queen who understands the game. Tywin's expression doesn't change, but his mind calculates rapidly. Tommen is still a child, barely 8 years old. But children grow. Thrones pass from father to son. And Stannis has declared his daughter heir, breaking centuries of tradition. The realm will not easily accept a queen. Stannis holds my grandson hostage, Tywin says finally. Any alliance would require his safe return. Of course, Margaery agrees. Grandmother has thoughts on that matter as well. The spider has many friends, many debts owed and favors granted. Even from exile, Varys maintains his influence. The mention of the eunuch spymaster brings a slight frown to Tywin's face. Varys is dangerous precisely because he seems harmless. A man who knows everyone's secrets wields power that armies cannot match. What does he propose? Patience, Margaery replies. Time for Stannis' harsh justice to breed resentment, gold to encourage dissatisfaction among those who feel wronged by the new regime. She moves closer to Tywin's desk. An accident, perhaps, or rebellion from within. When the usurper falls, your grandson could be rescued. Meanwhile, in the ruins of the Sept of Baelor, shadows move among blackened stones. The great temple stands gutted and hollow, its 7 towers skeletal against the grey sky. But faith does not die easily. In hidden chambers beneath the rubble, true believers gather. Septon Torbert leads the clandestine congregation. His face bears scars from the flames that consumed his sept. His voice carries the fervor of a man who has seen his gods desecrated. Brothers and sisters, he whispers to the dozen faithful who huddle in the darkness. The Red Witch burns our holy places. The false king permits this sacrilege. We cannot stand idle while evil triumphs. What would you have us do? Asks Septa Mordain, her aged face etched with grief. The king's guards watch every street. The gold cloaks serve the crown faithfully. Faith requires sacrifice, Torbert replies. His eyes burn with righteous fury. The 7 demand justice for the desecration of their house. If we cannot rebuild their temple, we can at least avenge its destruction. In the shadows, hands grip hidden daggers. Whispered prayers mix with plots of assassination. The faithful may be few, but desperation makes them dangerous. Far from King's Landing, a different kind of danger stalks the roads of the Riverlands. A small group of refugees moves carefully through the war-torn countryside. Lannister loyalists fleeing north after their king's fall. Among them, hidden beneath a boy's cap and dirt-stained clothes, walks a wolf in disguise. Arya Stark keeps her head down as the group makes camp beside a half-burned inn. She knows these people serve her enemies, but they offer protection in a land where wolves are hunted. Her true identity must remain hidden, even as she listens to their plans and dreams of revenge. The usurper's justice grows harsher by the day, mutters Ser Amory Lorch, the group's leader. The knight's scarred face bears witness to many battles. Half the lords in the Crown Lands have lost their heads. The other half wait in fear for their turn. Good men die while the rightful heir sits in chains, adds another refugee. Prince Tommen should be king, not some bastard girl declared heir by a kinslayer. Arya's hand drifts to the sword hidden beneath her cloak. Needle, her father's gift. The blade that remembers justice. These men speak of Tommen as the rightful king, but they forget the murders that placed him in line. They forget Ned Stark's death. They forget justice. That night, as the camp sleeps, Arya slips away into the darkness. She has heard enough of their plans, seen enough of their faces. When dawn comes, she will be gone, but their secrets will remain with her. Information that might prove valuable to the right ears. In Pentos, across the narrow sea, Varys sits in a merchant's comfortable solar. The spider wears rich robes now, playing the part of a successful trader. But his little birds still sing their songs. Gold flows from his purse to eager hands. Messages travel along hidden paths. The faith grows restless, reports one of his agents, a thin man with darting eyes. Septon Torbert gathers followers in the ruins. They speak of divine justice and righteous vengeance. Excellent, Varys murmurs, his voice soft as silk. Religious fervor makes for useful chaos. Ensure they have what they need. Gold for bribes, steel for their holy work. He pauses, considering, but nothing that traces back to us. Let them believe their cause is righteous, and their methods their own. The agent nods and disappears into the night. Varys turns his attention to other reports. The realm bleeds from a dozen small wounds now, each one carefully tended, each one encouraged to fester. Stannis' iron rule creates its own resistance. The spider merely nurtures what already exists. In the Red Keep, Melisandre stands before her flames. The Red Priestess gazes into the dancing fire, seeking visions of what is to come. The flames show her images, golden roses blooming in fields of blood, crimson lions stalking through shadows, a crown of iron melting in dragon fire. "Rulla shows me danger," she tells Stannis as they walk through the castle's corridors. The king listens with his usual stern expression. He trusts her visions, but acts on facts, not prophecies. "Your enemies gather like storm clouds. The rose and the lion make common cause against your reign." "Let them come," Stannis replies coldly. "I have faced storms before, stood sieges, fought battles against impossible odds." He stops at a window overlooking the city. Justice does not bend before threats or retreat from duty. "Even justice can be overwhelmed," Melisandre warns. "The flames speak of treachery close at hand. Those you trust may prove false. Those you spare may strike from shadows." Before Stannis can respond, shouts echo from the courtyard below. Steel rings against steel. Guards rush toward the sound of battle. The king draws his sword and runs toward the disturbance, Melisandre close behind. In the Red Keep's Godswood, a small grove of trees provides quiet sanctuary. Tonight it becomes a battlefield. 3 cloaked figures attack Sir Barristan Selmy as the old knight takes his evening walk. Blades flash in the moonlight. The knight's years of experience serve him well as he parries desperately against multiple opponents. Stannis arrives just as one assassin's blade finds its mark. Sir Barristan stumbles, blood flowing from a wound in his sword arm. The king's roar of fury echoes through the night as he charges into battle. His sword takes the first assassin in the neck. The second falls to Sir Barristan's counterattack despite his injury. The third tries to flee, but finds guards blocking every exit. "Take him alive," Stannis commands. "I want answers." The captured assassin spits blood as guards bind his hands. His face shows the fervor of a true believer. Religious symbols hang from his neck, the 7-pointed star of the faith. "The gods demand justice," he snarls. "The Red Witch burns their holy places. The false king permits sacrilege. We are their instruments of vengeance." "You are fools who worship dead gods," Stannis replies, "but you will tell me who sent you before you die." Under questioning, the truth emerges slowly. The assassins acted on their own initiative, driven by religious fury rather than outside gold, but their connections run deeper. Septon Torbert's name surfaces, hidden meetings in ruined septs, plans for greater strikes against the crown. "How many?" Davos asks grimly as they survey the damage. "Sir Barristan will live, but his sword arm may never fully heal. The old knight served faithfully and nearly died for his loyalty." "Enough," Stannis answers. His jaw is set like granite. "Faith breeds fanatics. Fanatics breed violence. This ends now." Before dawn, the gold cloaks move through the city. Septon Torbert and his followers are dragged from their hiding places. Some resist and die. Others surrender and face the king's justice. By sunrise, 12 conspirators kneel before the Iron Throne. "You attacked my knight," Stannis declares. "You plotted murder in the name of your dead gods. You chose violence over law." He stands from the throne. The sentence is death. One by one, the faithful die. Their blood pools on the throne room floor as their heads roll away. The last to die is Septon Torbert himself. The scarred Septon shows no fear as the blade falls. "This will not end the resistance," Melisandre warns as they watch the bodies carried away. "Cut off one head, and 2 more grow in its place. The faith has deep roots." "Then I will burn out every root," Stannis replies grimly, "until the soil is clean." Word of the failed assassination spreads quickly through King's Landing and beyond. Some see it as proof of divine displeasure, others as evidence of the king's strength. But in Casterly Rock, Tywin Lannister reads the reports with satisfaction. Stannis has shown his hand. Harsh justice breeds harsh enemies. The game accelerates. In the north, Jaime Lannister sits in chains at River Run. The Kingslayer's value as a bargaining chip grows with each passing day. Robb Stark knows that wars are won with politics as much as swords. Perhaps it is time to test the usurper king's resolve. Ravens fly between castles. Gold changes hands in dark alleys. Swords are sharpened in hidden armories. The rightful king sits secure for now, but the web of enemies tightens around him. Storm clouds gather on every horizon. When they break, the realm will discover whether iron justice can stand against golden roses and crimson lions united in common cause. The Game of Thrones never pauses for any man's victory. It only grows more dangerous with each passing move. The flames rise high above King's Landing as dawn breaks over the capital. In the square before the Red Keep, a pyre burns with unnatural intensity. The fire consumes more than wood and oil. It devours the enemies of the rightful king. It purifies the realm through pain and death. Septon Torbert's followers burn together, their screams echoing off the stone walls of the city. They chose martyrdom over submission. They believed their dead gods would reward their sacrifice. Now they learn the truth of fire and blood. Only ashes remain when R'hllor's judgment is complete. King Stannis watches from the castle steps. His face shows no emotion as the flames consume the conspirators. Beside him stands Queen Selyse, recently arrived from Dragonstone with an escort of loyal men. Her sharp features reflect satisfaction at the sight of heretics burning. Justice served. Order restored. "The Lord of Light is pleased," Melisandre declares. The Red Priestess raises her arms toward the pyre. Her voice carries clearly across the square. He accepts this offering of those who served darkness. Their deaths strengthen the realm. The gathered crowd watches in silence. Some cross themselves in old habits. Others mutter prayers to new gods. Fear and awe mingle in their faces. This king does not simply execute his enemies. He transforms their deaths into divine spectacle, a message written in smoke and flame. "Let all who oppose the rightful king witness this justice," Stannis announces. His voice carries the authority of absolute power. Those who serve faithfully will find mercy. Those who rebel will find only fire. Within the Red Keep, transformation proceeds with methodical precision. Targaryen dragons carved in stone are chiseled away from walls and pillars. In their place, artisans craft the flaming heart of R'hllor. Red banners hang where black ones once proclaimed the rule of kings. The very stones seem to burn with new purpose. Queen Selyse oversees much of the work personally. Her religious fervor matches her husband's political will. "Every trace of the old regime must be erased," she commands the craftsmen. "This castle will proclaim the glory of the one true God." In the throne room, the Iron Throne itself receives attention. Melisandre approaches the twisted metal seat with braziers in hand. Sacred flames burn before the chair that once belonged to Aegon the Conqueror. The fire casts dancing shadows across the 1,000 blades that form the throne. The seat of kings must be blessed, the Red Priestess explains to those assembled. Rulla's fire will sanctify this iron that has known so much bloodshed. She speaks in High Valyrian as she anoints the throne with oils that burn with different-colored flames, red and gold and deep purple. Later that day, nobles gather in the throne room for ceremonies that will reshape their lives. Lord Caswell of Bitterbridge kneels before the Iron Throne with his household. His lands in the Reach suffered during the war. Now he seeks favor from the new king through submission to the new faith. "Do you renounce the 7 who are one?" Melisandre asks. Her red eyes bore into the Lord's weathered face. "Do you accept Rulla as the one true God? Do you pledge your sword, your gold, and your soul to the Lord of Light?" Lord Caswell's voice wavers slightly. "I do, priestess. I renounce the false gods of my fathers. I embrace the light that drives back darkness." The words taste bitter, but survival demands compromise. His children watch as their father abandons the faith of their ancestors. "Then rise as a true servant of Rulla," Stannis commands. "Your lands are restored, your titles confirmed. Serve faithfully, and prosper in the light." Not all nobles submit so readily. Lord Tarly of Horn Hill stands defiant when his turn comes. The stern warrior's face shows disgust at the proceedings. His famous sword, Heartsbane, hangs at his side, Valyrian steel that has served his house for centuries. "I will not abandon the 7 for foreign gods," Lord Tarly declares. His voice rings with conviction. "My fathers built their sept with their own hands. I will not see it burned for your Red Witch's pleasure." Silence falls over the throne room. The moment stretches like a bowstring drawn tight. Stannis leans forward in his throne, studying the defiant lord with cold eyes. "Then you choose exile," the king pronounces. "You have 1 day to gather your household and depart my realm. If you remain past sunset tomorrow, you will burn like the other heretics." Lord Tarly bows stiffly. "As you command, your grace. But know this, the 7 have long memories. The faithful will not forget this persecution." He turns and strides from the throne room, his son Samwell hurrying to keep pace. One by one, the remaining nobles make their choices. Some convert with tears in their eyes. Others embrace the new faith with enthusiasm, seeing opportunity in change. A few follow Lord Tarly into exile rather than compromise their beliefs. By evening, the religious map of the Crown Lands has been redrawn in fire and fear. As night falls, a different ceremony begins in the castle sept. The small chapel has been cleansed of the 7 symbols and rededicated to Rulla. Red flames burn where starlight once filtered through stained glass. The very air seems to thrum with otherworldly power. King Stannis and Queen Selyse stand before Melisandre's altar. Their marriage was blessed by septons years ago, but tonight they renew their vows under the eyes of the true God. Witnesses fill the small space. Lords who converted, knights who serve, courtiers who adapted to the new regime. "The Lord of Light joins what fire has blessed," Melisandre intones. Sacred flames burn higher as she speaks the ancient words. "Through fire you are cleansed, through fire you are joined, through fire your rule is sanctified." Stannis takes Selyse's hand in his. Their marriage has never been warm, but duty binds them as surely as love might others. "Before Rulla and these witnesses, I renew my pledge to you," he says formally, "as king and husband, as your protector and your lord." Selyse's response echoes with religious fervor. "I pledge my faith to you and to the light. May our reign bring justice to the realm and glory to the one true God." The ceremony concludes with fire that burns without consuming. Melisandre's magic makes the flames dance in patterns that speak of divine approval. The king's rule has been blessed by powers beyond mortal understanding. Meanwhile, on Dragonstone, Stannis' ancestral seat undergoes its own transformation. Ser Axel Florent commands the island fortress in his brother-in-law's absence. The castle's ancient stones have seen Targaryen dragons and Baratheon stags. Now they watch the flaming heart rise above their towers. "Double the garrison," Ser Axel commands his captains. "King Stannis may rule from King's Landing, but Dragonstone remains the key to the narrow sea. Our enemies sail these waters. We must be ready." Ships arrive daily with supplies and reinforcements. The royal fleet grows stronger with each passing week. Merchants from across the narrow sea bring goods and gold in exchange for the king's protection. War may threaten the mainland, but trade flows freely under Stannis' iron law. In the castle's great hall, Maesters read reports from across the known world. News from Braavos, trade agreements from Pentos, military intelligence from the free cities. But one report causes particular concern among the king's advisers. "Dragons," Maester Pylos reads from a merchant's letter. His voice carries disbelief despite the written words. 3 dragons in Essos. A young queen with silver hair commands them. The Dothraki follow her. The slaver cities burn at her approach." Ser Axel frowns at the news. Targaryen pretenders have claimed dragons before. Sellswords and charlatans seeking coin and glory. Why should this be different? "Because the reports come from multiple sources," the Maester replies. "Traders from Korth, survivors from Astapor. Even pirates speak of dragons in the sky." He sets down the scroll carefully. "If the tales are true, Daenerys Targaryen lives, and she has weapons that could challenge any king." The news travels swiftly to King's Landing. Ravens carry word of the Dragon Queen across the narrow sea. In the Red Keep's solar, King Stannis receives the intelligence with his usual calm demeanor. But behind his steel-grey eyes, calculations begin. "Dragons change everything," Davos observes quietly. He sits across from his king, wine untouched between them. The hand's weathered face shows concern. If she has 3 dragons and turns her attention to Westeros, "Then we will face dragons as my ancestors faced them," Stannis replies. His voice betrays no fear. "The realm has one rightful king. I will not yield my crown to Targaryen pretenders, no matter what beasts they command." Melisandre enters the solar as they speak. The Red Priestess's arrival always brings a chill, despite the warmth of her presence. "I have seen her in the flames," she announces. "The Dragon Queen. She is young but powerful. Her dragons burn with the light of Varala, though she knows it not." "Enemy or ally?" Stannis asks bluntly. "That remains to be seen," Melisandre replies cryptically. "The flames show many futures. In some, dragons serve the light. In others, they consume it. Much depends on the choices yet to be made." While they debate matters of prophecy and politics, the realm itself shows signs of healing. Stannis' harsh but fair governance bears fruit as corruption withers under royal scrutiny. Trade flows more freely when merchants know the weights and measures are honest. Tax collection proceeds efficiently when collectors fear the king's justice more than lords' displeasure. In the markets of King's Landing, prosperity returns gradually. Craftsmen work without fear of arbitrary seizure. Farmers sell their goods at fair prices. The gold cloaks maintain order without taking bribes. The city begins to thrive under firm leadership. The king's peace, merchants call it. Law enforced without favor. Justice dispensed without corruption. The price is steep: conversion to a foreign faith, submission to iron discipline. But order has value that gold cannot measure. Yet beneath the surface, tensions remain. In shadowed alleys, men whisper of the old ways. In hidden cellars, septons conduct secret services for the Seven. The faith may be driven underground, but it endures like roots beneath winter snow. As spring approaches, King Stannis stands on the battlements of the Red Keep. The city spreads below him, smoke rising from countless hearths. His realm grows stronger daily, but threats gather on every horizon. In the west, Tywin Lannister sharpens his claws. In the east, dragons spread their wings. In the north, wolves howl defiance. The trials ahead will test every foundation we have built, he says to Davos, who joins him at the wall. But I am the rightful king. Justice flows from my crown like light from the sun. Let my enemies come. They will find steel and fire waiting for them. The hand nods grimly. Your Grace, what if the Dragon Queen offers alliance? If she acknowledges your claim in exchange for recognition of her family's historic rights? Stannis considers the question. Politics and pragmatism war with rigid principles in his mind. Then we shall see if fire truly serves the light, he replies finally, or if it seeks only to consume. Night falls over King's Landing. In the distance, stars wheel overhead as they have since the world began. But the Game of Thrones continues, shaped now by forces both ancient and new. Dragons wake in distant lands, kings plot in western castles, and the rightful ruler of the Seven Kingdoms prepares for the storms ahead. The realm burns and heals in equal measure. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new choices, new tests of will and wisdom. But tonight, King Stannis Baratheon sits secure in his power, protected by fire and iron, preparing for the trials that will define his reign and the future of Westeros itself. Ravens darken the sky above Highgarden like an ominous cloud. The seat of House Tyrell bustles with activity as lords arrive from across the Reach. In the castle's great hall, two of the realm's most cunning minds seal an alliance that will shake the foundations of Westeros. Lady Olenna Tyrell sits across from Tywin Lannister, at a table laden with wine and correspondence. The Queen of Thorns studies the old lion with sharp eyes that have seen 7 decades of political maneuvering. Between them lies a marriage contract that could topple kings. Your grandson is young, Olenna observes, her voice carrying the weight of experience. 8 years old. My granddaughter is 16. The match seems premature. Children grow, Tywin replies coldly. Thrones pass from father to son, and Stannis has already broken precedent by naming his daughter heir. The realm will not easily accept a queen, especially one who burns septons and forces conversion at sword point, Olenna adds with a bitter smile. The usurper king's religious fervor makes him enemies faster than his justice makes him friends. Around them, lesser lords murmur agreement. Lord Mathis Rowan of Golden Grove, Lord Randil Tarley, recently returned from exile, Lord Leighton Hightower of Old Town. Each commands thousands of swords. Each harbours grievances against Stannis's iron rule. 80,000 men, Tywin states matter-of-factly. That is what the Reach can provide when fully mobilized. Combined with my forces from the west, we field the largest army since Aegon's conquest. Numbers mean little without cause, Olenna counters. Why should my bannermen die for Lannister ambitions? What do we gain beyond the doubtful honor of placing a child on the Iron Throne? Tywin's green eyes glitter with calculation. Protection from Stannis's purges, restoration of the faith, an end to forced conversions and religious persecution. He pauses meaningfully, and control of the crown for 20 years, while the boy king grows to manhood. The Queen of Thorns considers this offer. Power shared is power doubled, her father once taught her, and Stannis' harsh justice has created enemies in every corner of the realm. Very well, she says finally. House Tyrell will march, but I want guarantees, written assurances that our interests will be protected. Naturally, Tywin agrees. I would expect nothing less. As they negotiate terms, other plots unfold in distant lands. In Sunspear, Prince Doran Martell receives visitors who arrived under cover of darkness. 3 ships bearing Targaryen banners anchored secretly in the Shadow City. Their passengers bring promises that could reshape the game entirely. The Dragon Queen sends greetings to the Prince of Dawn, declares Ser Jorah Mormont, speaking for his absent queen. The exiled knight's weathered face shows the strain of long travels. Daenerys Targaryen remembers her family's friends. House Martell suffered under Robert's reign. Justice demands compensation. Prince Doran listens from his wheelchair, his gouty legs hidden beneath silk robes. Beside him stands his brother, Prince Oberyn, the Red Viper's dark eyes burning with interest. What does the Dragon Queen offer? Doran asks quietly. Alliance, replies another envoy, a woman with silver hair and violet eyes. Dragons to avenge Princess Aelia. Fire and blood for those who murdered your sister and her children. Stannis served Robert faithfully when Gregor Clegane crushed Prince Aegon's skull. The words hang in the air like poison. Prince Oberyn's hand drifts to his spear. The memory of Aelia's death burns in Martell hearts like molten metal. Stannis may not have wielded the blade, but he served the man who ordered it. And in exchange? Doran inquires. Dawn's loyalty when the Dragon Queen returns to Westeros, Ser Jorah states. Ships to carry her armies, gold to fund her cause, recognition of her claim to the Iron Throne. Prince Doran nods slowly. Leave us to consider. Dorne has waited 17 years for justice. We can wait a little longer to choose our allies carefully. Meanwhile, in King's Landing, the undercurrent of religious resistance erupts into open violence. Faith militant cells, driven underground but not destroyed, launch coordinated attacks across the city. They strike at midnight when the Gold Cloaks patrol in smaller numbers. The Sept of Remembrance explodes in flames as hidden wildfire ignites. The blast echoes across Flea Bottom, waking thousands from uneasy sleep. Ser Bronn leads the City Watch response, but the damage spreads quickly. 3 more septs burn before dawn. Red priests die with septons' daggers in their backs. 7 hells, Bronn mutters as he surveys the wreckage. Bodies litter the street around the destroyed sept. Faith militant fighters lie dead beside gold cloaks and foreign priests. They planned this, coordinated the whole bloody thing. In the Red Keep, King Stannis receives reports of the uprising with characteristic calm. His jaw tightens as Maester Balabar reads the casualty lists. 23 dead, 40 wounded, 6 septs destroyed or damaged. The Faith's underground has shown its fangs. Burn them out, Stannis commands. Every sept in the city, every hidden shrine, every place where the old faith festers like a wound. He turns to Sir Davos. Double the watch. Triple it if necessary. I will not have my rule challenged by fanatics and terrorists. Your Grace, Davos says carefully. Destroying all the septs might anger those who converted unwillingly. Many still hold the old faith in their hearts, even if they mouth prayers to R'hllor. Then they can learn to love their new god properly, Stannis replies coldly. Or they can join their martyrs in death. The purge begins at first light. Gold cloaks and red priests work together to identify every remaining shrine to the 7. Some they find empty, abandoned when their septons fled. Others hide faithful who resist with desperate courage. By sunset, 30 more believers have died, and a dozen buildings lie in ruins. Far to the north, Robb Stark faces an agonizing choice in the Great Hall of Winterfell. Ravens from King's Landing demand his immediate submission. Stannis' patience has ended. The young wolf must kneel or face the consequences of rebellion. He holds Uncle Tyrion, Robb says to his war council. His direwolf Grey Wind paces restlessly beside the high table. And our sisters remain missing. Sansa was at court when Stannis took the city. Arya disappeared somewhere in the Riverlands. Stannis executed Joffrey, his mother Catelyn reminds him. Her voice carries both grief and hope. The boy king who ordered your father's death is gone. Perhaps the new king can be reasoned with. Theon Greyjoy laughs harshly from his seat. Reason with Stannis Baratheon, the man who ground his teeth for 17 years over Storm's End. He doesn't negotiate, my lady. He commands. Robb stares at the letter in his hands. Stannis' words are typically blunt. Bend the knee, or be destroyed as a traitor to the realm. No room for compromise. No acknowledgement of the North's independence. Submit or die. What does honor demand? Robb asks his bannermen. I swore no oath to Stannis, but he is Robert's heir by law, and he has given the realm justice for my father's murder. Lord Umber speaks up gruffly. Honor demands we protect our own, Your Grace. Your sisters need rescuing. Your people need their king. My people need peace more than they need a crown, Robb replies quietly. The North has bled enough in this war. In King's Landing, other forces gather in darkness. Melisandre leads a procession of red priests down into the castle's deepest dungeons. They carry torches and sacred oils, chanting in High Valyrian as they descend stone steps worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. The night is dark and full of terrors. Their voices echo in unison. R'hllor preserve us from the cold. R'hllor grant us strength in the hour of trial. Deep beneath the Red Keep, prisoners await their fate. Captive faith militant, surviving septons, lords who refused conversion and chose chains over exile. Their deaths will fuel the greatest ritual Melisandre has ever attempted. Their blood will grant the king victory in the war to come. Bring the first, Melisandre commands. Her red robes seem to glow in the torchlight. The flames reflected in her ruby necklace burn with supernatural intensity. R'hllor hungers for sacrifice. The Lord of Light demands payment for his blessings. The screams that follow echo through the castle's foundations. Even the stone seems to weep at the sounds of agony and desperation. But Melisandre shows no mercy. Power requires sacrifice. Victory demands blood. The Red God's appetite grows with each offering. Above ground, Tyrion Lannister makes a discovery that could change everything. Following his knowledge of the Red Keep's hidden passages, he leads a team of guards into forgotten tunnels beneath the castle. His torchlight reveals chambers that have remained sealed since the Mad King's death. 7 hells, breathes Ser Bronn as they enter the largest cache. Dozens of clay pots line the walls, each filled with wildfire that glows with malevolent green light. How much of this bloody stuff did Aerys hide down here? Enough to destroy half of King's Landing, Tyrion replies grimly. My father never found all the caches. The Mad King's pyromancers were thorough in their madness. He examines the nearest pot carefully. Still potent after all these years. Wildfire doesn't weaken with age. They count over 300 containers in that chamber alone. Maps lead to other caches throughout the city. Under the Great Sept's ruins, beneath the Dragon Pit, hidden in the sewers and cellars where even the gold cloaks rarely venture. We need to tell the king immediately, Bronn says, wiping sweat from his brow despite the cool air. This much wildfire in enemy hands could end his reign in a single night, Tyrion finishes. Yes, Stannis needs to know what weapons his enemies might turn against him. That evening in the throne room, King Stannis addresses his assembled war council. Maps cover the long table where kings once feasted. Red markers show enemy positions. Blue markers indicate loyal houses. The balance of power shifts like sand in an hourglass. Tywin Lannister and House Tyrell have declared for the boy, Tommen, Stannis announces. His voice cuts through the chamber like a blade. They field 80,000 swords between them. Lord Randall Tarley commands their vanguard, a formidable force. But not unstoppable, adds Ser Davos. We have 30,000 men in the Crown Lands, another 20,000 on Dragonstone and the Narrow Sea Islands. The royal fleet gives us advantages they cannot match. Stannis nods grimly. Send ravens to every loyal house, the Florents, the Peasburys, the Sunglasses of Sweetport Sound. Every man who can hold a sword will be needed. He looks around the table. This war will determine the future of Westeros. We cannot afford to lose. From her place behind the throne, Melisandre speaks with quiet confidence. The flames show victory, Your Grace, but the price will be high. Blood and fire will decide this conflict. R'hllor demands great sacrifice for great triumph. Then he shall have it, Stannis declares. I am the rightful king of the Seven Kingdoms. I will not yield my crown to usurpers and pretenders, no matter what armies they command. Outside the throne room, preparations for war accelerate. Smiths work day and night forging weapons and armor. The royal treasury opens to hire sellswards from across the narrow sea. Ships arrive daily with supplies and reinforcements. In his solar, Tyrion studies the wildfire maps with growing concern. Each cache represents a potential catastrophe. Each hidden store could turn victory into annihilation if the enemy discovers their locations. The dwarf's mind works furiously, calculating odds and contingencies. Your Grace, he says when summoned before the king. The wildfire changes everything. We must secure these caches before the enemy learns of them. Better yet, we should use them ourselves. Stannis listens to Tyrion's explanation with characteristic intensity. The scope of Aerys's madness becomes clear as the dwarf details each hidden cache. Thousands of pots, enough explosive power to level the entire city. Remove them, Stannis commands. Every pot, every jar. Store them safely in the Red Keep's deepest vaults. If this war reaches King's Landing, I want every advantage we can claim. As night falls over the capital, the realm teeters on the edge of all-out war. In the west, armies gather under golden lions and green roses. In the north, wolves debate honor and survival. In the south, vipers plot vengeance with dragon queens. And in King's Landing, the rightful king sits his iron throne and prepares for the storm that will either crown him as the greatest ruler in Westeros's history or see him destroyed utterly by the forces arrayed against his justice. The Game of Thrones enters its deadliest phase. Tomorrow will bring choices that reshape the world. Tonight, prayers rise to old gods and new, while steel is sharpened and plans are finalized for the battles ahead. The gathering storm breaks soon. When it does, fire and blood will determine who rules the Seven Kingdoms. The morning mist clings to the banks of the Mander as 80,000 men cross the ancient river. The greatest army assembled since Aegon's conquest stretches across the horizon like a golden tide. Lannister crimson mingles with Tyrell green as lords paramount march side by side toward their destiny. Tywin Lannister sits his destrier at the army's head, his golden armor gleaming in the pale dawn light. The old lion's weathered face shows no emotion as he watches his forces ford the river. Behind him ride the flower knights of Highgarden. Before him lies the road to King's Landing and the crown that should belong to his grandson. 80,000 strong, observes Sir Kevan Lannister from beside his brother. The largest host either of our houses has ever fielded. Stannis cannot match these numbers. Stannis has never needed superior numbers, Tywin replies grimly. He held Storm's End for a year with fewer men than we have in our vanguard alone. Do not underestimate him, brother. That mistake has cost many lords their lives. Ahead of the main force, outriders bring news from the north. King Stannis has marched from King's Landing with 40,000 men. His banners fly the flaming heart of Rella alongside the crowned stag of his house. The two armies will meet somewhere along the King's Road, where the fate of the Seven Kingdoms will be decided by steel and blood. Lord Randyll Tarly commands the Alliance vanguard. His reputation as the finest military mind in the Reach precedes him like a storm cloud. Behind him march 20,000 infantry in perfect formation. Their armor bears the hunting horn of House Tarly and the golden rose of their overlords. Deploy the archers on the flanks, Tarly commands his captains. Keep the cavalry in reserve until we see how Stannis positions his forces. He's too experienced to fall for obvious traps, but every man has weaknesses. 3 days of hard marching bring the armies within sight of each other. The King's Road stretches between them like a scar across the landscape. Rolling hills provide natural defensive positions. Ancient oak trees stand witness to the coming bloodshed. King Stannis surveys the enemy host from a hilltop overlooking the field. His steel-grey eyes calculate distances and positions with the precision of a military engineer. Beside him, Sir Davos points out enemy formations with growing concern. They outnumber us 2 to 1, Your Grace, the Hand observes. Perhaps we should fall back to King's Landing. Fight them from behind walls where their numbers count for less. And leave the capital undefended. Stannis shakes his head firmly. No. We make our stand here. Defeat them in open battle where all the realm can see their failure. He turns to study his own forces. Deploy the men along the ridge, archers in the center, cavalry on the wings. We hold the high ground. Melisandre approaches on her red mare, her robes flowing behind her like living flame. The ruby at her throat pulses with inner fire. The Lord of Light has shown me this battle in the flames, she declares. Victory will be ours, but the price will be steep. Many brave men will die before the sun sets. All war demands payment in blood, Stannis replies. The question is whose blood will water this field. The Battle of the King's Road begins at dawn with the thunder of war drums. Lannister Gold and Tyrell Green advance across the valley like a rising flood. Their battle cries echo off the hills as 80,000 voices roar defiance at the usurper king. Lord Tarly leads the charge with disciplined precision. His infantry advances in tight formations while archers rain death on Stannis's positions. The flower knights of the Reach follow close behind, their colourful banners streaming in the morning breeze. Stannis's forces meet the assault with iron discipline. His archers send clouds of arrows into the advancing ranks. His infantry stands firm on the ridge, spears bristling like a steel hedgehog. But sheer numbers begin to tell as the enemy reaches the slope. "Hold the line!" roars Sir Clayton Suggs, commanding Stannis's centre. His sword takes a Tyrell knight in the throat as the melee becomes general. "For King Stannis! For justice!" Steel rings against steel as the battle lines collide. Men scream and die in the mud as the ridge becomes a charnel house. Horses scream as they fall. banners topple as their bearers perish. The very earth seems to bleed beneath the fury of combat. Tywin Lannister leads his household guard up the eastern slope. The old lion's blade has not lost its edge despite his years. His presence rallies the assault as his men push toward Stannis' position. Victory seems within reach. Then Melisandre begins her ritual. The Red Priestess stands behind Stannis' battle line, with braziers burning around her. She chants in High Valyrian as she draws a curved dagger across her palm. Blood drips onto the flames, which flare with unnatural colors, red and gold and deep purple. "Ralla, grant us victory," she calls to the darkening sky. Storm clouds gather overhead, as if summoned by her voice. "Lord of Light, send your shadows to devour our enemies. Let fire consume those who serve darkness." The shadows come. They flow across the battlefield like liquid night, moving against the wind and defying natural law. Men scream as darkness engulfs them. Swords pass harmlessly through the shadow stuff, while spectral claws tear flesh and armor alike. Sir Kevan Lannister falls first, his throat opened by claws that leave no wounds. His death cry echoes across the field as panic spreads through the Alliance ranks. Lord Tarly tries to rally his men, but even his iron discipline cannot stand against supernatural terror. Tywin Lannister faces the shadows with characteristic courage. The old lion draws his sword as darkness swirls around him. "I am Tywin of House Lannister," he declares to the encroaching night. "I fear neither man nor monster." The shadow that kills him wears Stannis' face. It manifests from Melisandre's flames with steel-grey eyes and an expression of righteous fury. The spectral blade pierces Tywin's heart as surely as any mortal weapon. The most powerful man in Westeros dies with surprise etched on his weathered features. "Father!" Ser Jaime would have screamed if he were not chained in a northern dungeon. Instead, the news will reach him later, carried by ravens that sing songs of death and defeat. With Tywin fallen, the Alliance army begins to crumble. Panic spreads like wildfire through ranks that had seemed invincible moments before. Men throw down their weapons and flee rather than face the shadows that hunt them. Lord Mace Tyrell takes command of the retreat with admirable composure. The Lord of Highgarden may lack his mother's cunning, but he understands military necessity. "Fall back," he commands his remaining forces. "Fighting withdrawal to the Mander. Cover the flanks." But retreat becomes rout as Stannis' cavalry charges down from the ridge. His knights smash into the fleeing enemy with devastating effect. Sir Godry Faring leads the pursuit, his sword red with enemy blood. The flower knights of the Reach wilt under the onslaught like roses in winter. "Press the attack," Stannis commands from his position overlooking the carnage. "Give them no time to reform. Drive them into the river." The slaughter continues until sunset. By the time darkness falls, the field lies carpeted with corpses. 40,000 enemies lie dead or dying in the mud. The survivors flee southward with Mace Tyrell, their dreams of conquest shattered like glass. But victory comes at a terrible price. 20,000 of Stannis' men lie among the fallen. His army has been blooded and reduced to barely half its original strength. Among the dead are some of his most loyal supporters, lords who backed his claim from the beginning, knights who served him faithfully for years. Sir Davos surveys the battlefield with grim satisfaction, tempered by sorrow. "We've won, Your Grace, but at what cost? Half our strength lies dead. How can we hold the realm with so few men remaining?" "The same way we've always held it," Stannis replies. His face shows exhaustion, but no regret. "Through justice and strength of will, our enemies are scattered, their leaders are dead. The realm will remember this day." In the enemy camp, Searchers find Tywin Lannister's body among the slain. The old lion lies with his sword in his hand and defiance frozen on his face. Even in death, he looks formidable. But death comes for lions as surely as for lesser beasts. "Strip the body," Stannis commands when they bring him word. "Take his armor and weapons as trophies, but treat the corpse with respect. He was my enemy, but he was also a worthy one." News of the battle spreads across Westeros with the speed of raven's wings. In Highgarden, Lady Olenna receives the reports with characteristic composure. The Queen of Thorns reads each scroll with growing understanding of the catastrophe that has befallen her house. 80,000 men, she murmurs to her granddaughter Margaery, reduced to barely 20,000 survivors. Your future husband's grandfather is dead. Our alliance lies in ruins. "What do we do, grandmother?" Margaery asks. Her beauty remains unmarked by the disaster, but fear flickers in her brown eyes. "Stannis will come for us. His justice knows no mercy." Olenna considers their options with the calculating mind that made her legendary. Surrender might save Margaery, but it would mean the end of House Tyrell's power. Flight to Essos could preserve their lives, but would cost them everything they've built. Or, "Fetch me the tears of Lys," she commands her Maester, "the good vintage, the one that tastes of honey and leaves no trace." Understanding dawns in Margaery's eyes. "Grandmother, no, there must be another way." "There is no other way, child," Olenna replies gently. Stannis Baratheon does not forgive. He does not forget. He does not show mercy to those who oppose him. She takes her granddaughter's hand. "But you might survive this. You're young, beautiful, innocent of your elder's crimes. Perhaps the new king can be persuaded to spare you." That night, as Mace Tyrell's shattered forces limp toward Highgarden, the Queen of Thorns takes her final meal. The poison works quickly and painlessly. Lady Olenna dies as she lived, on her own terms, denying her enemies the satisfaction of conquest. At dawn, servants find her body in her solar. A letter rests beside her cold hand, addressed to King Stannis. In it, she takes full responsibility for House Tyrell's rebellion. She begs mercy for her surviving family members, particularly her innocent granddaughter. The letter ends with characteristic defiance. "You have won, Your Grace. But remember that roses have thorns, and even in death, some wounds never heal." King Stannis receives the news without visible emotion. The Queen of Thorns chose death over submission, depriving him of both justice and information. Her granddaughter lives, but her political value has diminished with her house's defeat. "What of the boy?" Davos asks, referring to Prince Tommen, still held prisoner in King's Landing. With Tywin dead and House Tyrell broken, his value as a hostage has changed. "He remains a threat while he lives," Stannis observes. "Pretenders attract desperate men. But he's only a child. Perhaps there are other solutions than the executioner's block." The Battle of the King's Road ends the greatest threat to Stannis' reign, but new challenges emerge from victory's ashes. The realm bleeds from fresh wounds. Noble houses lie shattered or scattered. The crown's authority has been established through fire and blood, but the price of that authority grows steeper with each victory. In the days that follow, ravens carry word of the king's triumph to every corner of Westeros. Some lords bend the knee in terror, others begin plotting new resistance, and across the narrow sea, dragons grow larger and hungrier with each passing day. The Game of Thrones continues, but the board has changed. Fewer pieces remain in play, but those that survive have been tempered by fire and proven in battle. The rightful king sits secure for now, but the crown grows heavier with each victory, and the enemies gathering in the shadows grow more dangerous. War has its own logic, and that logic demands ever greater sacrifices. Today brought triumph. Tomorrow may bring fresh trials that will test every foundation Stannis has built. But for now, the king has proven his strength. The realm has seen his justice, and his enemies have learned the price of opposing the one true ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. The dragons come at dawn. 3 shadows pass over Blackwater Bay as the sun rises, their wings blotting out the morning light. Fishermen flee their nets. Merchants abandon their stalls. Guards on the Red Keep's walls point skyward in terror and awe as legends made flesh soar above the capital. King Stannis watches from his solar window as the great beasts wheel through the air. Drogon, black as night with eyes like burning coals. Rhaegal, green and bronze scales catching the sunlight. Viserion, cream and gold like molten metal. Behind them flies a fleet of ships bearing the 3-headed dragon of House Targaryen. "The Dragon Queen has come," Melisandre announces from behind him. The Red Priestess's voice carries satisfaction and fear in equal measure. The flames showed this day. Fire has returned to Westeros. Stannis' jaw tightens as he counts the ships, 50 vessels at least, carrying thousands of men. Dothraki horse lords with curved swords, unsullied warriors in bronze helms, sellswords from across the narrow sea, an army that has conquered cities and toppled masters. "Send ravens to all loyal houses," he commands without turning from the window. "The Pretender has returned. Every man who can hold a sword must answer the crown's call." He pauses as the largest dragon breathes fire over the water. "And double the guard on Prince Tommen. If Daenerys Targaryen wants to press her claim, she'll need all the legitimacy she can gather." On Dragonstone, ancient castle of Targaryen kings, the dragons land with earth-shaking force. Their claws carve furrows in stone, as old as Aegon's conquest. The castle's garrison, left by Stannis to guard his ancestral seat, kneels in terror as the mother of dragons strides through the gates. Daenerys Targaryen has grown into her power during her years in Essos. The frightened girl who fled King's Landing in her mother's womb has become a queen in truth. Silver-gold hair flows beneath a crown of black steel. Her purple eyes burn with the fire of dragons. Behind her march the Dothraki Cols, who chose to follow their Khaleesi across the poison water. "Your Grace," says Ser Jorah Mormont, as they enter the castle's great hall, "Dragonstone is yours by right. Your ancestors ruled from these halls for 3 centuries. And now I have returned to claim what was stolen," Daenerys replies. Her voice carries the authority of one who has ruled cities and commanded armies. She approaches the ancient throne carved from a single block of dragonstone. "Send word to King's Landing. Tell Stannis Baratheon that the rightful queen has come home." In dawn, Prince Doran receives the news with quiet satisfaction. The Prince of Dawn sits in his wheelchair in the water gardens, watching his brother's daughters play in the pools. 17 years of patient planning have led to this moment. "The Dragon Queen has landed at Dragonstone," reports Ser Areo Hotha. The captain of guard stands ready as always, his long axe gleaming in the afternoon sun. "Her dragons fly over Blackwater Bay. Stannis Baratheon's reign faces its greatest challenge." "As I always knew it would," Doran replies softly. His gouty hands rest on the arms of his chair, but his mind races with possibilities. "Send ravens to all the great houses. Dawn declares for Daenerys Targaryen, rightful queen of the 7 kingdoms. The debt for Princess Elia's murder comes due at last." Prince Oberyn emerges from the castle's shadows, his dark eyes gleaming with anticipation. Finally, brother. Justice for Elia. Justice for her children. The mountain's master will face dragon fire. Patience has its rewards, Doran observes. We bent the knee to Robert Baratheon, because we were not strong enough to resist. We bided our time while Stannis consolidated power. Now the dragons have returned, and we can act with honor instead of desperation. Meanwhile, in the far north, another kind of storm gathers beyond the wall. Lord Commander Jon Snow stands atop the wall's summit, his breath misting in the frigid air. His black cloak whips in the wind as he studies the lands beyond. The haunted forest stretches to the horizon, silent and ominous under gathering clouds. "How many?" asks Samwell Tarly, approaching with scrolls clutched in his gloved hands. The young steward's face shows the strain of sleepless nights spent in study and preparation. "Thousands," Jon replies grimly. "Every report says the same thing. The dead are walking. Ancient evils stir beyond the mountains, and winter is coming with teeth sharper than any sword." A raven arrives from King's Landing, bearing news of dragons and queens. Jon reads the message with growing concern. The realm tears itself apart, while true danger gathers in the north. Political games matter little when the dead rise to hunt the living. "Ready my horse," Jon commands. "If dragons have returned to the south, then the north must have a voice in what comes next. Someone must tell them about the real threat." "Jon," Sam protests, "you're Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. You can't leave your post." "I can't protect the realm from here," Jon counters. "The Watch has stood guard for thousands of years against the darkness beyond. If I must break my vows to save the Seven Kingdoms, then so be it." In the Red Keep, King Stannis convenes his war council as reports arrive from across the realm. The throne room echoes with urgent voices as lords and advisors debate their response to the Targaryen return. "3 dragons," mutters Ser Clayton Suggs. "How do you fight dragons with swords and spears? Our grandsires' tales speak of their power. Cities burned, armies scattered like leaves." "Aegon conquered Westeros with 3 dragons and a handful of men," adds Lord Alistair Florent. "If this girl commands the same power, she commands pretensions and foreign sellswords," Stannis interrupts coldly. "I am the rightful king. The realm will not abandon justice for Targaryen nostalgia." Melisandre steps forward from her place behind the throne. The Red Priestess's ruby glows with inner fire as she speaks. "The flames show conflicting visions, Your Grace. I see dragons serving the light. I see them consumed by darkness. The girl's destiny remains unwritten." "What do you counsel?" Stannis asks. "Meet with her," Melisandre says after a long pause. "The Lord of Light may speak through her dragons. If she serves R'hllor, perhaps accommodation is possible. If she serves the Great Other—" The priestess's voice trails off ominously. Stannis considers this advice with his usual intensity. Politics demands flexibility, but his nature rebels against compromise. Yet the realm's stability matters more than personal pride. "Very well," he decides finally. "Send word to Dragonstone. I will meet with the pretender. Let us see what manner of queen she truly is." The parley takes place 3 days later on Dragonstone's ancient shore. 2 small boats approach the beach under banners of truce. From one steps King Stannis Baratheon with Ser Davos and Melisandre. From the other emerges Queen Daenerys Targaryen with Ser Jorah and Tyrion Lannister, who has switched sides yet again in his quest for survival. The meeting ground sits beneath the shadow of Dragonmont, the castle's smoking peak. Ancient Valyrian stonework provides a dramatic backdrop for the encounter between ice and fire, between established king and returning queen. "Your Grace," Daenerys says with perfect courtesy as she approaches. Her purple eyes study Stannis with frank curiosity. I thank you for agreeing to this meeting. You may call me your grace when you bend the knee, Stannis replies bluntly. Until then, I am King Stannis of House Baratheon, first of my name, rightful ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. Daenerys' smile doesn't waver. I am Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, Queen of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains. I have come home to reclaim my family's throne. Your family's throne was forfeit when your father murdered innocent men and plotted to burn King's Landing, Stannis counters. Robert's rebellion was just. My claim flows from his. My father was mad, Daenerys acknowledges, but I am not my father. I have broken chains and freed slaves. I have brought justice to the oppressed. What justice have you brought to Westeros? The question hangs in the salt air between them. Stannis' jaw works as he considers his answer. I have ended corruption, restored the rule of law, punished those who preyed upon the weak. The realm prospers under firm governance. Through fire and forced conversion, Daenerys observes, your red priestess burns those who will not abandon their gods. Is that the justice you offer? Melisandre steps forward, her red eyes fixed on the young queen. You know nothing of true faith, child. But your dragons, they burn with the light of R'hllor. Perhaps the Lord of Light has brought you here for a purpose. My dragons serve justice, Daenerys replies firmly. They have burned slavers and tyrants. They will burn any who stand in the way of peace. The tension crackles between the two rulers like lightning before a storm. Each commands armies. Each claims legitimacy. Each believes utterly in their cause. Yet as they study one another, something like respect flickers in their eyes. You are not what I expected, Stannis admits finally. The reports spoke of a young girl playing at being queen. I see a woman who has earned her crown through trial and battle. And you are more honorable than I was told, Daenerys responds. My advisers spoke of a harsh tyrant who rules through fear alone. I see a king who believes deeply in justice, even if our methods differ. Sir Davos clears his throat diplomatically. Perhaps there is room for accommodation. The realm bleeds from war. Surely peace serves both your interests. What accommodation? Stannis asks bluntly. There is one throne, one crown, one kingdom to rule. The Seven Kingdoms were once many kingdoms, Daenerys observes. Perhaps they could be again. You could rule the lands that have accepted you. I could govern those that remember my family with affection. The suggestion hangs between them, like a bridge neither wishes to cross. Division contradicts everything both rulers believe about unity and legitimacy. Yet the alternative is war with dragons. Before either can respond, a commotion erupts on the beach. A boat approaches under a different banner entirely. The white of the Night's Watch with its black ravens. From it steps Jon Snow, travel-worn and grim-faced. Your Grace, Jon says, addressing both rulers simultaneously. Your Grace, I come from the Wall with urgent news. The dead are stirring beyond the mountains. Ancient enemies wake from millennia of slumber. White walkers march south with armies of whites. The true war is not between living claimants, but between the living and the dead. The revelation strikes both rulers like a physical blow. Stannis has heard whispers from the north. Daenerys has seen visions of ice and snow in her dreams. But to hear it stated so plainly by one who has seen the threat firsthand changes everything. How long do we have? Daenerys asks, her political ambitions suddenly seeming small beside existential danger. Months, Jon replies grimly. Perhaps less. The wall still stands, but it cannot hold forever against what comes. The realm must unite or face extinction. Stannis and Daenerys exchange a long look. Personal ambition wars with duty in both their hearts. The Iron Throne seems less important when balanced against the survival of all life in Westeros. A temporary alliance, Stannis says slowly, until this threat is ended. Then we settle our differences. Agreed, Daenerys nods. My dragons burn hotter than any wildfire. If ice threatens the realm, then fire will answer. As the sun sets over Dragonstone, two rulers who came to the meeting as enemies shake hands as reluctant allies. Above them, dragons circle in the darkening sky. Before them stretches a war unlike any the Seven Kingdoms have ever known. The Game of Thrones pauses in the face of something greater. Ancient magics stir. Prophecies approach fulfillment. And in the far north, something cold and implacable begins its final march toward the lands of the living. Ice and fire have met. Soon they will be tested against the darkness that seeks to consume them both. The alliance dies in blood and fire. What began as hope crumbles into ash within a fortnight of the Dragonstone meeting. Ravens fly between King's Landing and the ancient Targaryen seat, but their messages carry recriminations instead of cooperation. The temporary peace shatters like glass against the rocks of pride and politics. She demands half the Iron Throne, Ser Davos reports grimly as he enters Stannis' solar. The hand's weathered face shows the strain of failed negotiations. Joint rule until the threat passes. Shared authority over the realm's armies. King Stannis stands at his window, watching the city below. His jaw works as he considers Daenerys' terms. Behind him, the Iron Throne sits empty and cold in the throne room. Joint rule, he repeats slowly. 2 monarchs for 1 kingdom. Madness. She has dragons, Your Grace, Davos reminds him quietly. And supporters in Dawn. Half a kingdom is better than a burnt kingdom. Half a kingdom is no kingdom at all, Stannis replies coldly. I am the rightful king. I will not share my crown with a Targaryen pretender, no matter what beasts she commands. On Dragonstone, Queen Daenerys receives similar counsel from her own advisers. The Great Hall echoes with heated debate as her supporters argue for war while others counsel patience. The usurper refuses all reasonable compromise, reports Ser Jorah Mormont. He demands your complete submission in exchange for a minor lordship on some distant island. His pride blinds him to necessity. His followers whisper that you serve the Red God poorly, adds Tyrion Lannister, ever the political strategist. They say your dragons burn too hot for Rulla's purpose. Religious division poisons any chance of alliance. Daenerys sits upon the ancient Dragonstone throne, her purple eyes reflecting the flames of braziers burning around the hall. Above, her dragons roost in the castle's highest towers. Their presence fills the air with menace and promise. Then we remind him why dragons are feared, she decides finally. If Stannis Baratheon will not bend the knee, he will burn. The White Walkers can wait until the realm has one true queen. The attack comes at dawn on the first day of winter. 3 dragons rise from Dragonstone as the sun paints the sky blood red. Their wings beat thunder as they soar toward King's Landing, carrying vengeance and dragonfire to the capital of their ancestors. Drogon leads the assault, black scales gleaming like obsidian. His roar echoes across Blackwater Bay as he breathes fire over the harbour. Ships burst into flame. Docks collapse in burning ruin. The smell of smoke and death fills the morning air. Behind him fly Rhaegal and Viserion, green bronze and cream gold. They attack the city from different angles, their flames setting the Sept of Remembrance ablaze again. The few remaining followers of the Seven flee screaming as their rebuilt sanctuary becomes a pyre. In the Red Keep, King Stannis receives the reports with characteristic calm. "How many ships?" he asks Captain Bronn as the City Watch commander rushes into the throne room. "Half the royal fleet, Your Grace," Bronn replies, his scarred face grim. "The dragons came out of the sunrise. Our crews never had a chance." Stannis nods grimly. "Evacuate the civilians. Open the gates. Let any who wish to flee the city do so." He draws his sword, the blade singing as it clears the scabbard. "But I remain. This is my throne, my kingdom, my duty." Queen Selyse enters with Princess Shireen, both women pale with fear. "Stannis," Selyse says urgently. "The Maester says the dragons approach the castle. We must flee while there's time." "You must flee," Stannis corrects firmly. "Take our daughter to safety. I have a duty to fulfill here." "Father, please," Shireen begs, her scarred face wet with tears. "Come with us. The throne isn't worth your life." Stannis kneels before his daughter, taking her small hands in his calloused ones. "The throne represents justice, my dear. Order. The rule of law. If I abandon it now, what message does that send to the realm?" He kisses her forehead gently. "Be strong. Be just. Remember that duty comes before desire." Sir Davos approaches with a small escort. "Your Grace, I have horses ready at the eastern gate. Princess Shireen will be safe with me." "Guard her with your life," Stannis commands his oldest friend. "She is my legacy, my heir, the future of our house." As his family flees through the burning city, King Stannis returns to the throne room. The Iron Throne waits for him, twisted metal that has known the touch of kings for 3 centuries. He climbs the iron steps and sits, sword across his knees, waiting for the dragons to come. The walls shake as Drogon's roar echoes through the castle. Stone cracks under the assault of dragonfire. Tapestries burst into flame. The very air grows thick with heat and smoke as the Mother of Dragons brings war to the heart of Westeros. Melisandre enters the throne room as the ceiling begins to smoulder. The Red Priestess carries no torch, for flames dance around her hands without consuming them. Her ruby necklace glows like a star as she approaches the throne. "Your Grace," she says, her voice cutting through the chaos outside. "The Lord of Light demands one final service." "I will not abandon my throne," Stannis states flatly. "If the Pretender wants my crown, she can pry it from my corpse." "Not your throne," Melisandre corrects. "Your life. R'hllor requires the ultimate sacrifice to protect what matters most." She looks toward the direction Shireen fled. "Your daughter's future depends on this choice." Understanding dawns in Stannis's steel-grey eyes. The Red Priestess offers him one last chance to serve justice, to protect his heir, even at the cost of everything else he holds dear. The great doors of the throne room explode inward as dragonfire melts stone and metal alike. Through the Inferno steps, Daenerys Targaryen, her silver hair untouched by flame, her purple eyes burning with righteous fury. "Stannis Baratheon," she declares, her voice carrying over the roar of flames. "I offered you mercy. I offered you alliance. You chose pride over wisdom." "I chose justice over compromise," Stannis replies, rising from the Iron Throne. His sword gleams in the firelight. "I am the rightful king. I will not yield to threats or dragons." "Then burn," Daenerys commands. Drogon's head appears in the shattered doorway, jaws opening to unleash death upon the defiant king. But as dragonfire erupts toward the throne, Melisandre throws herself between flame and monarch. The Red Priestess burns, but her sacrifice creates something greater than death. Her magic, her faith, Her very soul feeds the flames until they turn from dragon orange to pure white. The fire of Rulla meets the fire of dragons, and for one impossible moment, they cancel each other out. "Now!" Melisandre screams as her flesh begins to char. "While the flames are balanced, strike!" Stannis leaps from the throne, his sword raised high. For a heartbeat, the path to Daenerys lies clear. For a moment, justice might triumph over dragons through steel and determination. Then Jon Snow bursts through a side entrance, his black cloak streaming behind him. "Stop!" he shouts, his voice cutting through the magical conflagration. "Both of you, stop! The dead are at the gates!" His words freeze both monarchs in their tracks. Behind Jon come ravens, their wings singed from desperate flight. The messages they carry speak of walls falling and ancient enemies stirring. "The White Walkers have come. The wall has fallen," Jon announces, his face grim with terrible knowledge. Eastwatch collapsed in the night. The dead march south in numbers beyond counting. We have days, perhaps hours before they reach the capital. Daenerys steps back from the burning throne room, her dragons sensing the change in their mother's mood. "The dead?" "Whites," Jon explains urgently. "Raised by the Night King's power, and White Walkers riding behind them, ice and death given form. They come for all the living." Stannis lowers his sword as the implications sink in. Political disputes seem meaningless when faced with extinction. "How do we fight them?" "Together," Jon replies. "Dragons and men, fire and steel, united against the darkness." He looks between the two rulers with desperate intensity. "There's something else. Something that changes everything about your claims to the throne." Jon takes a deep breath, knowing his next words will reshape the political landscape forever. "My name is not Jon Snow. I am Aegon Targaryen, son of Prince Rhaegar and Lyanna Stark, rightful heir to the Iron Throne by blood and birth." The revelation strikes both monarchs like a physical blow. Stannis staggers as if punched. Daenerys gasps, her purple eyes wide with shock and recognition. "Impossible," Stannis breathes. "The truth," Jon insists, "hidden for 18 years to protect me from Robert's wrath. But the realm needs all its strength now. The throne matters less than survival." Daenerys stares at the young man she has known as a bastard of the North. "If this is true, you are my nephew, my family, the last of the dragon's blood." "Family doesn't matter if we're all dead," Jon says urgently. "Unite your armies, combine your strengths. The realm needs both dragons and kings if it hopes to see another dawn." As if summoned by his words, horns blow from the city walls. The sound carries no triumph, only warning. Watchmen cry out in terror as shapes appear on the northern horizon. White shapes that move with purpose through the falling snow. The dead have come to King's Landing. In the burning throne room, the Iron Throne itself begins to melt under the combined heat of dragonfire and magical flame. The 1,000 swords that formed Aegon's seat run like water, pooling on the stone floor in molten metal. 3 centuries of royal authority collapse into slag. "The throne is gone," Daenerys observes with bitter irony. "The symbol that drove us to war no longer exists." "Perhaps that's as it should be," Stannis admits grudgingly. "Let the old ways burn. If we survive what comes next, we can build something better from the ashes." Jon nods toward the destruction around them. "Then let's ensure there's an after to build in. Your Grace," he addresses both rulers simultaneously, "will you stand with me against the night?" For a moment, the 3 blood claimants to the Iron Throne stand united in purpose. Fire and ice and duty combined against the darkness that threatens to consume everything they hold dear. "The dead don't care about politics," Daenerys says finally. "My dragons will burn them all." "My men will stand with yours," Stannis agrees, "until the threat is ended." Outside, snow begins to fall on King's Landing for the first time in living memory. The long night approaches, bringing with it terrors that make human conflicts seem like children's games. But for the first time since this tale began, the realm's defenders stand united. Dragons circle overhead, their flames bright against the darkening sky. Below, armies prepare for the greatest battle in the history of Westeros. The Game of Thrones has ended. The war for the dawn begins. In the distance, Princess Shireen Baratheon rides safely away from the burning capital with Sir Davos Seaworth. Behind them, the Red Keep burns but still stands. Before them lies an uncertain future where the old rules no longer apply. The Iron Throne melts. The kingdom bleeds. But somewhere in the smoke and fire, hope endures. 3 dragons and 3 claimants united against the darkness may yet prove enough to save the realm from eternal winter. The dead are coming, but the living are ready. The great council of Harrenhal convenes under circumstances none of the assembled lords could have imagined. The massive ruined castle rises from the shores of the God's Eye, like a monument to past ambitions, its melted towers bearing witness to dragonfire from centuries past. Now dragons circle overhead once more, but this time they come as protectors rather than destroyers. Lord after lord arrives through the snow-covered countryside. Survivors of the wars that have torn the realm apart for the better part of a year. They come bearing banners stained with battle and faces marked by loss. The War of 5 Kings has become the war against the dead, and old enemies must become new allies if any hope to see another spring. In the great hall of Harrenhal, 3 chairs sit before the assembled nobility instead of 1 throne. King Stannis Baratheon occupies the center seat, his stern face marked by fresh scars from the dragon attack on King's Landing. To his right sits Queen Daenerys Targaryen, her silver hair catching the firelight as her purple eyes survey the crowd. To his left sits Jon Snow, or Aegon Targaryen, as his true name proclaims, his dark eyes reflecting the weight of revealed destiny. "Lords of Westeros," Stannis begins, his voice cutting through the murmur of conversation like steel through silk. "We face an enemy that cares nothing for our houses, our histories, or our feuds. The dead march south with winter at their backs. Our choice is simple: stand together or fall separately." Lord Edmure Tully, representing the battered Riverlands, stands to address the council. Your Graces," he corrects himself, acknowledging all 3 rulers. "The Riverlands have bled for years. Our people need time to harvest what crops remain before the deep freeze comes. How can we field armies when our lands lie fallow? Because empty fields mean nothing if there are no living farmers to work them come spring," Daenerys replies firmly. "My dragons have seen the enemy host. Hundreds of thousands of wights march in perfect formation. They neither eat nor sleep nor tire. Every day we delay, they grow stronger." Jon leans forward in his chair. "I fought them beyond the wall. I've seen what they can do. Dragon glass and Valyrian steel can kill them, but conventional weapons merely slow them down. We need every advantage we can gather." Lord Royce of Runestone speaks up from the crowd. "The Vale stands ready, Your Grace. Our knights are fresh, and our stores are full. House Arryn pledges 10,000 swords to this cause." "And the North remembers?" adds Lady Mormont of Bear Island, her young voice carrying fierce determination. every able-bodied man and woman will stand against the darkness. We've prepared for winter all our lives. As the discussion continues, a commotion near the hall's entrance draws attention. Guards escort a young man in maester's robes through the crowd. Sam Tarley, son of the exiled Lord Randall, carries a leather satchel stuffed with scrolls and books. "Your Graces," Sam says breathlessly as he approaches the 3 chairs. "I bring word from the Citadel. Archmaester Ebros has opened the restricted archives. We've found texts dating back to the Age of Heroes, to the First Long Night." Stannis gestures for the young Maester to continue. "Speak. What have you learned?" Sam fumbles with his scrolls before finding the right passage. "Dragonglass, obsidian, can kill White Walkers and Whites alike. But there's more. The texts speak of ancient forges beneath Dragonstone, where obsidian was shaped into weapons during the First War against the dead." "Dragonstone," Daenerys repeats thoughtfully. "My ancestral seat. The castle sits atop a volcano. If the ancient forges still exist—" "They do," confirms Tyrion Lannister, speaking from his place among the advisors. "I've explored those tunnels myself. Miles of passages carved from volcanic glass. An armory waiting to be awakened." Jon stands from his chair, excitement flickering in his dark eyes. "How long would it take to forge enough weapons for our armies?" "Weeks," Sam replies. "Perhaps a month if we work day and night. The ancient texts provide instructions, but the work will be dangerous. Dragonfire would speed the process considerably." Daenerys nods decisively. "Then Rhaegal and Viserion will fuel the forges, while Drogon and I scout the enemy's advance. We have dragon glass, dragonfire, and dragons. The dead will learn to fear the living." As plans take shape, another unexpected voice joins the council. Bran Stark, carried into the hall by Hodor, speaks with the authority of one who sees beyond the present moment. "The Night King seeks me," Bran announces, his voice eerily calm for a boy of his age. "I am the three-eyed raven now, the memory of the world. He wants to destroy all memory, all history, all hope, but his desire for me can be used against him." "You propose to use yourself as bait," Jon realizes with growing horror. "Bran, you're my brother. I won't sacrifice family for strategy." "You're not sacrificing me," Bran replies simply. "You're using me to save everyone else. The Night King created me to be his enemy. It's time to fulfill that purpose." The weight of Bran's words settles over the assembly like a funeral shroud. To use a child as bait against an ancient evil strikes at every instinct of protection and honor. Yet the alternative is the extinction of all life in Westeros. Stannis breaks the silence with characteristic directness. "What would you require?" "Winterfell," Bran answers. "My family's seat, the heart of the North. If I wait for him there, he will come. And when he comes, your armies and your dragons can surround him." Before anyone can respond, guards bring another unexpected participant to the council. Cersei Lannister, thin and pale from months of imprisonment, still carries herself with queenly dignity despite her chains. "Why is the prisoner here?" Daenerys demands, her hand moving instinctively toward her sword hilt. "Because she has information we need," explains Ser Davos, who had escorted her from her cell. "Information about King Aerys's wildfire, caches that could prove decisive against the dead." Cersei's green eyes survey the assembled lords with bitter amusement. "How the mighty have fallen," she observes. "The Dragon Queen and the usurper king united in desperation. My father would have laughed." "Speak your piece," Stannis commands coldly, "or return to your cell." "Gladly," Cersei replies with acid sweetness. "My late father-in-law, the Mad King, hid wildfire throughout every major city in the Seven Kingdoms. Not just King's Landing, Lannisport, Old Town, White Harbor. Enough explosive to level mountains, let alone armies of the dead. The revelation sends shocked murmurs through the assembly. Lords exchange worried glances as they calculate the implications. Weapons powerful enough to destroy the undead, but at the cost of their own cities. "Why tell us this?" Jon asks suspiciously. "Because I want my children to survive," Cersei answers simply. "Tommen and Myrcella are innocents. If the dead triumph, they die with everyone else. Better to see them live in your world than die in winter's embrace." Daenerys studies the former queen with calculating eyes. "In exchange for this information, you want pardons for your children." "I want them to live," Cersei repeats. "Nothing more. My own fate is in your hands." The terms are harsh, but fair. Information for mercy. Knowledge for survival. As the council debates, more reports arrive from the north. The dead have crossed the Trident. Ancient castles fall silent as winter claims them. Time grows short. "We have perhaps a fortnight," estimates Lord Commander Ed Tollett of the Night's Watch, arrived from the ruins of Castle Black. "The dead move faster than any living army. They don't rest, don't eat, don't slow for terrain. They come like a tide of ice and bone. Then we move now," Stannis decides. "Every available man marches north immediately. Every smith works day and night forging dragonglass weapons. Every maester searches for more information about our enemy." "And the dragons?" asks Lord Tarley of Horn Hill, recently returned from exile. "We'll burn the dead until there are no dead left to burn," Daenerys declares. 3 dragons against 1 Night King. Fire against ice. Life against death. As the Great Council disperses, the 3 rulers remain to finalize their alliance. The triumvirate that emerged from necessity must now prove itself in the crucible of ultimate war. "When this is over," Stannis says quietly to his unlikely allies, "assuming we survive, what then? 3 rulers for 1 kingdom cannot last." "Then we'll face that problem when it comes," Jon replies diplomatically. "The realm will need rebuilding, regardless of who rules it." "Perhaps the realm needs new forms of rule entirely," Daenerys suggests. "Kings have failed Westeros repeatedly. Maybe it's time to try something different." The conversation is interrupted by the arrival of ravens bearing urgent news. The dead have been sighted near the Twins. Winterfell prepares for siege. The final battle draws near with the speed of winter wind. Outside Harrenhal, dragons roar as they take flight toward Dragonstone and the ancient forges that await awakening. Armies march through snow that falls heavier with each passing hour. Maesters pack their most precious books for the journey north. In the Citadel, Sam Tarly works by candlelight to copy crucial texts about fighting the undead. His quill scratches across parchment as he preserves knowledge that could mean the difference between victory and extinction. At Dragonstone, the ancient forges roar to life for the first time in centuries. Dragonglass melts and shapes under dragonfire as smiths work to arm the armies of the living. Sparks fly like fallen stars as weapons of legend emerge from volcanic stone. In King's Landing, the few remaining inhabitants pack what they can carry and flee south. The capital empties like blood from a wound as people seek safety in lands not yet touched by winter's advance. And in the far north, beyond the ruins of the wall, the Night King rides his undead dragon toward his destiny. Behind him march the armies of the dead, countless thousands of wights in perfect formation. His blue eyes burn with ancient hatred as he prepares to claim the world of the living. The final battle approaches. The long night begins, and somewhere in the darkness between life and death, the fate of every living creature hangs in the balance. Fire and ice prepare for their ultimate confrontation. Only one will see the dawn. Spring comes slowly to Westeros. The snows retreat gradually from fields that once ran red with blood, revealing earth scarred by war, but ready for new growth. In the ruins of castles and cities, people emerge from their refuges to rebuild what was lost. The long night has ended, but its cost weighs heavy on the survivors. The great sept of remembrance rises again in King's Landing, its 7 towers reaching toward the sky in gleaming white stone. But beside it stands a temple to Rulla, its flames burning eternal in braziers that never empty. For the first time in centuries, the bells of 2 faiths ring in harmony across the capital. Queen Daenerys Targaryen walks through the construction sites that fill her city. The Mother of Dragons has grown into her role as a builder rather than a conqueror. Her silver hair is bound simply, her purple dress practical rather than ornate. Above her, Drogon circles on mighty wings, his presence a reminder that peace is protected by strength. "Your Grace," reports Tyrion Lannister, as he approaches with scrolls tucked under his arm. The dwarf serves as her hand now, his political cunning turned toward reconstruction rather than destruction. The harbour repairs proceed ahead of schedule. Trade ships from Braavos arrived this morning with grain and timber. "And the housing for the refugees?" Daenerys inquires, pausing to examine the foundation stones of what will become new homes for those displaced by war. "Nearly complete," Tyrion replies with satisfaction. "No one will face the next winter without shelter. The Royal Academy's apprentice engineers have designed heating systems that burn wood more efficiently. Maester Sam's innovations prove their worth daily." The Royal Academy stands as perhaps the greatest symbol of the New Age. Built where the Dragon Pit once hosted gladiator fights, it welcomes students from every corner of the realm, regardless of birth or wealth. Knowledge serves all who seek it, and the Academy's towers house the greatest library since old Valyria's glory days. In the Academy's main hall, Princess Shireen Baratheon studies maps of the known world with her fellow students. The girl who once lived in her father's shadow now shines with her own light. Her scarred face bears wisdom beyond her years, earned through trials that would have broken lesser spirits. "Princess," calls Maester Sam as he enters the classroom. The young man has found his calling as the Academy's first provost, his gentle nature perfect for nurturing young minds. "Your essay on trade routes impressed the entire faculty. Have you considered pursuing advanced studies in economics?" Shireen smiles, her joy unmarked by the political calculations that once defined court life. "I want to learn everything, Maester Sam. History, mathematics, languages, agriculture. If I'm to help rebuild the realm, I need to understand how all the pieces fit together." "Your father would be proud," Sam observes quietly. "Justice guided by wisdom rather than rigid law." In the Stormlands, that same father rules from Storm's End with a justice tempered by hard experience. Lord Protector Stannis Baratheon has learned that mercy sometimes serves the realm better than harsh punishment. His courts still dispense swift justice, but now they also offer redemption to those who seek it. "Sir Davos," Stannis says, as his oldest friend enters the great hall. "The Onion Knight bears new honours now. Lord of the Rainwood, Admiral of the Southern Fleet, trusted advisor to a man who has finally learned to listen. What news from King's Landing?" "Good news, my lord," Davos replies with a smile that has become more frequent in recent months. Princess Shireen's letters speak of her studies and her friends. She thrives in her new environment. Stannis nods with quiet satisfaction. His daughter's happiness means more to him than any crown ever could. And the harvest reports from the other regions? Promising, Davos confirms. The North expects a surplus this year. The Riverlands have rebuilt their granaries. Even the Reach shows signs of recovery despite the losses at the Battle of the King's Road. The mention of that bloodbath brings a shadow to Stannis' weathered face. So many died for the Game of Thrones that no longer exists. Now the realm governs itself through the Council of Lords, with representatives elected from each region for terms of 7 years. No single ruler holds absolute power. The lessons of the past have been learned in blood and fire. Far to the north, King Jon Snow stands atop the rebuilt Winterfell's walls and surveys his domain. The king in the north rules a people who chose him freely, rather than accepting him by right of birth. His legitimacy comes from service rather than bloodline, and his crown rests lighter on his head because of it. "Your Grace," calls Arya Stark as she joins her brother on the battlements. The girl who once dreamed of being a knight now serves as Jon's spymaster, her skills with blade and stealth put to peaceful purposes. "The harvest festivals begin tomorrow. Will you speak to the people?" "Of course," Jon replies, his breath misting in the cool northern air. They've earned their celebration. 10 years of winter, followed by war, followed by the long night. They deserve to feast and dance, and remember what it means to be alive. Below them, Winterfell bustles with preparation. Banners hang from every window, but they bear symbols of peace rather than war. The dire wolf of Stark runs alongside the 3-headed dragon of Targaryen, the crowned stag of Baratheon, and the golden rose of those Tyrell houses that survived the chaos. Unity forged in the crucible of shared struggle. The God's Wood has been expanded to accommodate multiple faiths. The heart tree still stands at its center, its red leaves whispering ancient secrets. But nearby stands a sept with 7 sides, and a temple with flames that never die. The gods may be different, but their message of hope remains the same. In the crypts below, new tombs honor those who fell defending the realm. Tywin Lannister lies beside Olenna Tyrell, old enemies united in death. Melisandre rests in a place of honor, her sacrifice remembered by all who value the light over darkness. Even Joffrey Baratheon has a modest grave, marked simply as a king who learned too late that power serves the people, not the reverse. The Council of Lords meets in the restored Great Hall of Harrenhal, that cursed castle transformed into a symbol of cooperation rather than conquest. 7 representatives sit at a round table where no seat holds precedence over another. The North, the Vale, the Riverlands, the Westerlands, the Reach, Dawn, and the Stormlands each have equal voice in the realm's governance. Lord Edmure Tully speaks for the Riverlands, with the wisdom earned through years of occupation and recovery. Lady Mormont represents the North's interests, with the fierceness of the bears her house serves. Prince Oberyn governs Dawn's delegation, his desire for vengeance transformed into a passion for justice. Each voice matters. Each vote counts. Each decision affects the whole realm. The grain distribution system works well, reports Lady Mormont during the season's final session. The North surplus will feed the Iron Islands through their lean winter. In exchange, their fishing fleets provide fresh catches to inland regions. Dawn proposes expanding the road networks, adds Prince Oberyn. Better transportation means faster aid during emergencies, and stronger trade ties during peacetime. The discussions continue late into the evening, but without the acrimony that once characterized political discourse. When survival depends on cooperation, old hatreds seem petty and destructive. As night falls across Westeros, 3 dragons rest atop the towers of King's Landing. Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion have grown fat and content in peacetime, their flames used to light forges and warm halls rather than burn enemies. They represent power held in check, strength serving peace rather than conquest. In distant Essos, tales spread of the Dragon Queen, who chose reconstruction over expansion, of kings who shared power rather than hoarding it, of a realm that learned wisdom through suffering. Scholars study the Westerosi model as an example of governance reborn from the ashes of its failures. The Faith of the Seven and the followers of Orhala hold joint services now, their prayers united in gratitude for survival and hope for the future. Septon Kyle and Red Priestess Kinvara share the same pulpit, their different words carrying the same message. The light drives back darkness, whether that darkness comes from beyond the wall or within the human heart. In the Royal Academy's library, Shireen Baratheon reads accounts of her father's reign with mixed emotions. She understands now why his justice seemed so harsh, why his mercy came so rarely. The realm was broken, and broken things require firm hands to mend. But she also sees how his rigid adherence to law sometimes blinded him to human needs. "I'll do better," she whispers to the portrait of Stannis that hangs in her study. Justice with mercy, strength with wisdom, order with compassion. Nearby, Sam Tarly works on his great project, a comprehensive history of the wars of the Five Kings and the Long Night. Future generations will know the cost of political ambition unchecked, the price of religious intolerance, and the value of unity against existential threats. The lessons written in blood must not be forgotten. As the first anniversary of the Night King's defeat approaches, memorial services are planned throughout the realm. Not celebrations of victory, but remembrances of sacrifice. The countless dead who paid the price for the living's freedom will be honored with more than words. Their sacrifice will be repaid through the peace their deaths purchased. Lord Commander Jon Snow, for he still holds that title even as king in the north, stands vigil at the wall's ruins. The ancient barrier that once divided the realm now serves as a monument to unity. Its broken stones remind all who see them that even the mightiest defenses can fall if the people behind them forget their common purpose. The Night's Watch still exists, but its mission has changed. No longer do they guard against wildlings and White Walkers. Instead, they serve as teachers and healers to the free folk who have chosen to settle south of the wall. Former enemies work side by side to plant crops and raise children and build futures that honor the past without being imprisoned by it. Spring deepens into summer, and the realm prospers as it has not for generations. Trade flows freely between regions once divided by war. Children grow up learning multiple languages and histories, their minds expanded beyond the narrow confines of regional prejudice. The Royal Academy opens sister schools in White Harbour, Lannisport, and Sunspear, spreading knowledge like seeds on fertile ground. Queen Daenerys receives petitions from across the narrow sea, former slaves seeking refuge, merchant princes proposing trade agreements, scholars requesting access to the Royal Academy's libraries. Her dragons no longer inspire terror, but admiration, their presence a guarantee that peace will be protected with the same ferocity once used for conquest. In the evening of her life, she often thinks of her brother Viserys and the crown he thought he deserved. Power taken by force lasts only as long as that force can be maintained. But power granted by grateful people endures through generations. The sun sets over Westeros on a realm transformed. The Iron Throne lies melted and forgotten beneath King's Landing, its twisted metal recycled into plowshares and building tools. The Game of Thrones has ended, not with a winner, but with the realization that the game itself was the problem. Children born after the Long Night will know war only through history books. They will grow up in a world where differences of faith and culture are celebrated rather than feared, where knowledge is valued more than bloodline, where service to the common good defines nobility rather than birth or wealth. The wheel has not merely stopped turning. It has been broken apart and rebuilt into something better, a foundation upon which future generations can build dreams that reach toward the stars themselves. In this new world, the dawn never truly ends.